We are live now, good to go.
Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all on behalf of the Pune chapter of IADVL. Today's session is focused on intense pulse light, which is considered to be a poor man's laser. Though technically it does not qualify as laser, it has been found useful in treating various skin conditions. Our experts today will share their knowledge and experience with the machine. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our president, Dr. Dhaneshri Bere Madam, for the welcome note.
Thank you.
Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Ritu. Dear friends and colleagues, very good morning and warm welcome for today's CME. This is a post-Christmas Sunday, and I really appreciate that so many of you have registered for this CME. Now, today's topic, you all know that we have decided to have this focused discussion on intense pulse light therapy. And you will wonder why we have chosen this topic in this era of lasers. There are 2 or 3 important reasons which I feel that we should think about this technology, because no technology is bad, no technology is superior or inferior. We have to learn it and we have to know how exactly to use this particular technique. Most importantly, we feel that there are so many centers or so many people, they have this IPL machine, but it is not used to its full capacity. Secondly, conditions, especially the vascular lesions and conditions like rosacea, where the patients are very frustrated because of the appearance and because of the pain and discomfort that these conditions cause. And there are very few options as far as the technology is concerned to treat these conditions. And you all must be aware that for ocular rosacea, only FDA-approved technology is this intense pulse light therapy. And thirdly, in this pandemic, the budget is gone haywire for many people. The youngsters, they have to struggle between buying a place for their consulting room and buying the instruments. And if they have a cost-effective option, probably they can buy just one machine and start treating variety of indications, because IPL, I feel, is a versatile technique. It has many wavelengths which we can learn to use, and we can treat wide variety of indications with this machine. So probably it is like a laser platform, but not a laser, and it can be kind of a cost-effective option for many of us. And to share the knowledge and to teach us about this technique, we have invited experienced faculty members. We have none other than Dr. Satish Udare sir from Mumbai, and he is credited to have first IPL machine ever. And he has a vast experience for more than 35 years, and he will share his practical views regarding this. Dr. Ajay Deshpande is doing a focused work for many years, and he is an innovative person, and he has tried this particular technique in some out of the box. He has some out of the box ideas, and he's using it for unconventional therapeutic options. Then Dr. Nitin Dhepe, he needs no introduction. He has practically used each and every laser and light-based technology, and he has all his machines in his clinic. And he is a very sound person as far as technology is concerned, and he will explain in details about the exact wavelengths, the filters, and how to apply it in clinical practice. And from the young generation, we have Dr. Varsha Sidwadkar. She also is very enthusiastic and keeps on trying new things, and she has again good experience of using this IPL technology. So with this brief introduction about today's CME, I would like to hand over the proceedings again to Dr. Ritu Chobe. And before I leave, I wish you all a very happy year, next year 2021. The vaccine is around the corner, and we hope to have a very healthy year 2021, and hope to see you all soon in person in next few months for our CME of Pune chapter of IADVL. Thank you very much, and over to you, Dr.
Thank you.
प्रद्युम्न राहायला इंट्रोड्यूस करायचं म्हणलं.
प्रद्युम्न आपलाच आहे रे. प्रद्युम्न.
We will now begin with the scientific session. We have 2 presentations by Dr. Nitin Dhepe and Dr. Ajay Deshpande, which will be followed by a panel discussion. I request you all to keep your mics on mute and your videos switched off all through the session. You are also requested to post your queries in the chat box during the session. Your questions will be addressed at the end of the panel discussion. Our first speaker is Dr. Nitin Depe. He's the Vice President of Pune chapter of IADVL and also the founder and director of Skin City. He has more than 20 years of experience in lasers and aesthetics and has many papers and accolades to his credit. Over to you, Dr. Depe.
Good morning, everybody. I welcome you all in this wonderful event, very focused event on the IPL. And somebody said it is a poor man's IPL. No. So it is a not a poor man's IPL laser, but it is a very versatile tool. I call IPL as a intelligent man's tool because all the lasers are well sophisticated. The parameters are fixed there. Then you don't need to apply the mind in the laser. Most of the parameter and the settings are fixed, and you have to just learn that, train to your operator, and they do the job. But IPL has so many wavelengths, so many parameters, and so much customization you can make, so many permutation combination. So a real mind application or the brain application is there while using the IPL. So IPL is a intelligent doctor's machine. So once upon a time, we used to call IPL is a master of none, jock of all. But now the technology is so much advanced. All the parameters of the IPL, they are so much advanced. Now I call that as a master of all. How? Let me share. So you become the biggest victim when you buy the lasers and lasers. There is a say that somebody wanted to marry a good looking, a good cooking, well behaved, cultured, educated, earning wife, but he could not because he was allowed to marry only one girl. He could not marry the 10 different girls. So the laser is like a single character wife. One single character, a vascular laser will do only vascular job, the pigmentary laser will do the only pigmentary job, the resurfacing will do only resurfacing job. While the IPL is something like all in one. You have the so many possibilities, so many indications. I thanks my Guru Rox Anderson, who inspired me to go in the physics, in the details, read a lot. Then we will first understand the laser, and then we compare how the IPL are different than the laser. So I will take you to the physics. So, and I promise to make it as interesting as possible. So we'll go through the first laser physics and the laser tissue interaction in 10 minutes. And I promise everybody will understand the laser physics even in 10 minutes. Now, what is long form of the laser? It's a light amplification of stimulated emission of radiation. So we have three terms here. Light amplification. So basically it's a light. Then there is amplification. Of what? Of the radiation. How? By stimulated emission. So you have to see these three phenomena, then you understand the laser. So laser is a light, but light of a different quality. So what is the difference between the ordinary light and the laser light? Okay. So light has so many different wavelengths. You have the Vibgyor, red, blue, green. You have the infrared, and you have the ultraviolet. So you have all the shades. Each shade is defined by a wavelength. Different color means different wavelength. So you have the lasers in the green range, you have the lasers in the infrared, you have the lasers in the ultraviolet. So as we have the different shade of the light, you have different shade of laser, because laser is light, light is light. Laser is a different light. So it has a similar character like wavelengths. So we have so many lasers and energies. There, the laser is there in the many of the segment of this electromagnetic spectrum. Okay. So laser is a light. The second word is stimulated emission. What is that? We know some molecules in the nature, they are unstable. By definition, by structure, they are unstable. Their outermost electronic orbit is unstable because that is have some excess energy. If you make that further unstable by bombarding one more photon, you give more energy. Already there is excess energy, so that the outermost electron is unstable. You give some more energy, like one photon, then it becomes super excited. And that super excited state, it throws out two photons and become stable. So the outermost orbit, which was high energy, that throws the energy, one which is there in that orbit, one which is absorbed. So you give one photon and you throw out two photons. So this is called as a stimulated emission. So Rox Anderson says lasers are fancy molecular machines which takes out one photon and throws out two photons. So it is a photon amplification machine at a molecular level. Each molecule is a machine, and that machine takes one photon, one packet of energy, and throws out of two packet of energy. That's why the lasers are so powerful, because it takes one packet of energy and throws two packet of the this is called as a stimulated emission. Means you take a substrate we call as a laser medium. Laser medium is CO2, RBM yak crystals, maybe any other yak crystal, maybe the dye in the pulse dye laser. All those are the laser medium. Laser medium has a molecule. That molecule has a excitable electron. When you give one more photon or energy or a current or light, that molecule become excited and that throws two photons. But again, there is a small fine tip to this. These laser medium are very unique. They take one photon of any light. They take one photon of any light, but throw out two photons of one wavelength or one color. Means you take the light of blue, green, ultraviolet, infrared, anything inside, but that laser medium throws out only 1064 nanometer red light out. So lasers are fancy machine which takes out one photon and throws out two photons of same wavelength. Means you give any light as an input, but you get output of only green light, only red light, only 1064, only 540, only 532. So that is the very wonderful molecular machine. That is the basic of the laser physics. Okay, so this is a stimulated emission. In excited stage, we give more energy with photon, it throws out two photons. So take one in, throw two out. That is the basic mechanism. That's why the lasers are so powerful, because they are amplifying this. Same photon, they're amplified. How? In the laser machine, there is a laser tube. Laser tube is a cylinder. In the cylinder, you see, you are pushing the energy like electrical, optical, or chemical. That energy stimulates the laser medium. In this tube, whatever this blue, red is seen is a medium. CO2, RBM, helium, neon, anything is the laser medium. That gas or a solid or liquid accepts the energy like current, flash lamp, anything. Then these photons, there is a mirror at one end of the tube, mirror other end of the tube. So the photon, they reflect and reflect and reflect to and fro. And at the end, you get more and more photons, because the same photons come back again, they excite some more molecules. Again, they go on the mirror, come back, excite more molecules. Like the nuclear chain reaction in the atom bomb, these photons, they stimulate more and more and more molecules. So it is a chain reaction only, but it is a non-explosive, because electrons are very low powered. In the atom bomb, you have the neutrons and the protons and their heavy energy, so you get explosion. Here you get the only light, because electrons and the photons, they play only at the electromagnetic waves. So it is a excitation of the laser medium throwing out two photons, and that comes out to the laser machine. So laser tube, laser medium inside, then you give either electric current or a light. In CO2 laser, when you choose a CO2 laser, you ask the dealer, your CO2 machine is a RF excited or a flash lamp excited. Means that laser tube of the CO2 input energy is either electric current or a flash lamp. Traditionally, flash lamp was the input. The newer modification of CO2 laser is a RF excited, means input energy is electric current. There is a no flash lamp, so there is a no breakable part, so there is a no breakdown, machine is sturdy. So we prefer a RF excited CO2 laser than a flash lamp excited CO2 laser. Means the laser tube is there, and what energy we throw inside the tube is either light or current. Light is a flash lamp excited CO2 laser, and current is a RF excited CO2 laser. Simple. Now the last word in the laser is a radiation. Is it a radiation? Can it cause a cancer? So this is a very common question people ask. Doc, it is a radiation. Can it cause a cancer? Answer is plain no. Because it is a non-ionizing radiation. Radiation is any electromagnetic energy is called as radiation. In the physics, in the fourth standard, we have learned there are three ways of conduction of the energy. One is conduction, convection, and radiation. So there are few energy like heat goes only by continuity, that's a conduction. In the water liquid, it is a convection. Then other is a radiation which goes through the vacuum also. So sunlight comes in a vacuum. So any light is a radiation. So radiation itself is just a name for the energy. Two type of radiation, ionizing, non-ionizing. Ionizing radiations can cause a cancer. Non-ionizing radiation means any sunlight, tube light, flash lamp light is a non-ionizing radiation. So laser is a non-ionizing radiation. So word radiation is misnomer. All these oncologists, physicians, surgeons should call a full form ionizing radiation, but they use a short form as a radiation. So people assume that radiation means ionizing. It is not. Radiation is a broad term. Two types, ionizing and non-ionizing. Our laser is non-ionizing. So laser cannot cause a cancer. Okay. Three cardinal features of laser. One is a monochromatic. It is a single wavelength. So each laser is either red or blue or green. A single wavelength is a feature of laser. Collimated means parallel, very low divergence. And coherent means all are in the same phase. We'll see. Ordinary light is basically goes in all the direction. It has all the wavelengths with Gior. Ordinary light, if you pass through a prism, you'll see a Vibgyor. Means ordinary light has multiple colors, means multiple wavelengths. If you pass this light in the prism, this is a 1064 Nd:YAG laser. Input one color, output one color. So it is a monochromatic, single wavelength light. So lasers are single wavelength light. Ordinary light is polychromatic. So normal light is polychromatic, laser is monochromatic. Okay. So this is called as monochromatic. Now what is meant by collimated? You see the laser show. You see the ordinary light in the building is fading hardly after a couple of meters, but the laser beam is going for kilometers. Still it is parallel. So collimated means parallel rays of the photons. Collimated means parallel. So the lasers are single wavelength, then parallel, then coherence. Coherence means all in a single phase. Up, down, up, down, up, down. They are in single phase. We have heard the stories that when the military, they march left, right. On the bridge, they disperse and become non-synchronous. Why? If they walk synchronously on a bridge, they can make a vibration and the bridge can collapse. There are some ants in the Africa which march in the synchronous way and that can break the wood and the bridge. So coherence has a lot of power. So lasers are coherent. That's why they are creating a impact. They're creating a power. So monochromatic, parallel, and coherent is the feature of laser. Ordinary light is polychromatic, divergent, and so it is not intense. Okay. Now in the physics is we measure the energy of the laser. Laser is a light. In the physics, light comes in the both the categories. It comes in the particle theory, it comes in the radiation theory. So all the parameters of the quantum theory and the electromagnetic theory both are applicable to the light. So light has a dual nature. It is a ray, it is a particle. So quantum theory and electromagnetic theory, both the theories are applicable to the light. In the particle theory, each particle, that is photon, is a packet of energy that is wavelength into the lambda, wavelength into that Planck's constant is the energy. So means depending upon the wavelength, there is energy. Short wavelengths, they have the high frequency, they are high energy photons. Long wavelength, they are low frequency, they are low energy photons. Means 532 is stronger. Why? Short wavelength means it has a high frequency. It oscillates faster, more energy. 1064, it goes slow in the cycle, less energy. Next point is focusing of the laser beam. When the laser comes in a beam of the say 4 millimeter size, 6 millimeter size, then we put a optical lens there and we can converge that to make 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter. So the joule per centimeter square changes when you change the beam size. Now, energy and power concept. So those many joules per centimeter square and those many joule per centimeter square per second is a energy density and power density. So the tissue effect depends upon the fluence, that is called as energy density measured in joule per centimeter square, or power density, it is a watt per centimeter square or joule per centimeter square per second. So how fast you are giving the energy, how much joule you are giving in per centimeter square, that determines the clinical effect. Okay. Now the laser tissue interaction. You have to understand the skin has 3 layers. Epidermis is 100 micron. Dermis is 1 to 4 millimeters. So 0.1 millimeter, 1 to 4 millimeter, and another 6 millimeter is the fat, subcute. You have to see this again. See the thickness of the epidermis and dermis. 0.1 versus 4 millimeter. So it is a something 40 times thicker the dermis is. But there only 0.1 millimeter, 100 micron of that epidermis has the basal layer, has the melanocytes, and that makes our job difficult because the laser has to go in the dermis, hit the molecules without damaging the melanocytes. That is the conflict of the interest. So this is the relative thickness of the epidermis and dermis. Subcutaneous fat has no color. Now in the skin photobiology, if you a light is fallen on the skin or any living tissue, what happens? Around 7% light is reflected and 93% is absorbed or scattered. So reflection, scattering, transmission, and absorption. And only the absorbed light has a clinical effect. It's called as Grothus-Draper law. You pass any laser, but there is no taker inside. No molecule which absorbs that light. There is no effect. So before you choose a laser, you have to find which molecule in that tissue is absorbing this laser. Or go in reverse way, you want to destroy a tissue. I want to destroy hair follicle. Okay. Hair follicle has melanin. Okay. So which wavelength is absorbed by melanin? I will choose that wavelength. I want to destroy a capillary. Target is hemoglobin. So which wavelength is absorbed best by the hemoglobin? I will choose that wavelength. So this is the according Grothus-Draper law. Only absorbed light will have the clinical effect, which is not absorbed will not have a clinical effect. How to interpret this? Say 1064. 1064 has a less absorption. So we give the, what is the dose of the long pulse Nd:YAG laser 1064 for hair removal? We use 40 joules. Initially, we used to use 50 joules, 40 joule, 35 joules per centimeter square is the fluence of the long pulse Nd:YAG laser. Initial long pulse Nd:YAG laser, they used 60 joules. Now, diode laser, what is the fluence we use? Most of diode laser, they use 18, 20, 22 joules. Alexandrite laser, the fluence is 14, 16, 17 joules. So, less the wavelength, more absorption. So, you require less joules, less fluence. 1064, it is not absorbed at all. Very less is absorbed. So, you have to give 60, 70 joules. So, the only absorbed part has a clinical effect. If your laser is not absorbed in that tissue, there is no clinical effect. Now, what is the clinical effect? That clinical effect is determined by a theory called as selective photothermolysis. Means a selected molecule will absorb a specific light and that will hit itself and destroy itself. Means a melanin will absorb some light, will hit itself and destroy itself. A hemoglobin or RBC will absorb the light, hit itself and destroy itself. This is a selective photothermolysis. Means we have to just provide a specific energy which is absorbed by that molecule. Okay. How it happens, we'll see. The key, it is not a magic. When initial lasers were industrial laser, most of the initial lasers were sold in India. Believe me, last 40 years, 45 years, lasers are sold in India. The highest number of lasers are in Surat, Ahmedabad. Why? Even before a dermatologist bought a laser, 10-15 years, people in Surat were using a laser to cut the diamonds. So laser is used to cut the diamond. Diamond is the toughest substance in the world. Laser can cut the diamond. Now, same laser, now we fire on a cheek of a beautiful girl. The hair is burnt, but skin is not burnt. So a very robust jungly laser, which was used to cut the diamond, is now become so romantic that we fire on a cheek of a girl and that makes the skin smooth and burn only hair. So that is because of the selective photothermolysis, and that is not the magic. It is just a combination of physics parameter. So what are the physics parameter we adjust and the laser becomes selectivity? Wavelength, exposure duration, fluence, and spot size. If you adjust this parameter, then magic happens. Only unwanted part goes out and the required part stays back. Okay. So this is the absorption curve. How this chart come? No logic. It is observation in the nature. People made the experiment in the laboratory. Each molecule, what wavelength is absorbed, and this is a chart. So this is a observation. This is happening in the nature. There is no logic behind this. So certain molecules, they absorb certain wavelengths very well. Like melanin absorbs more and more of a, say, blue green color, like 532, 540 nanometer, 560 nanometer. So 500 to 550 nanometer, the melanin absorbs well. Hemoglobin absorbs around 580, 585, 590, around 1064. One more peak is there at 740 or 760. So each molecule absorbs, each molecule has a different choice. Somebody like blue light, some molecule like red light. So each target molecule absorbs a certain wavelength at peak. So you have to choose a laser which is absorbed by that target. I want to destroy red color. I need something, the red color absorbs that light. Like I want to destroy capillary. But in the electron microscopy, you see the capillary wall is a colorless. So those endothelium cells are colorless. But our laser require a color. So we target the RBCs. RBC has hemoglobin. So hemoglobin absorbs what? You see here, hemoglobin absorbs 500, it is 580, it is 700, it is 1064. So it can absorb so many wavelengths. So we have to choose a wavelength which is absorbed by hemoglobin but not melanin, because we want to burn the capillary but not the skin surface. So we have to choose a wavelength which has a window in between. Our only target molecule should absorb, and the innocent molecules, other normal tissue, should not absorb that light. Now the second parameter is pulse width. If you fire the energy over a period of milliseconds, seconds, minutes, you will burn the tissue. If the same energy you fire in a millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, there is no time for conduction. So the energy is confined because
नितीन फ्रीज झालाय का?
फ्रीज झालेलं दिसतंय. हा, झाला परत चालू.
फ्रीज झालं मी. Okay. Your internet connection is unstable. त्याला म्हणजे सांगतो. Okay. So this is called as thermal relaxation time. So the time which the molecule required to pass on the heat to surrounding is TRT. So you have to fire a laser in a shorter time than the TRT. So each target has a TRT, means a thin target you require very short time, thick target you require a longer time. Means a tattoo particle you require in nanosecond, epidermis you require in the microseconds, blood vessel you require in the milliseconds, hair follicle you require in the 10, 20, 40 milliseconds. So it is a square of a diameter. It is a cross section of that target tissue that determines the pulse width. So a thin particle like tattoo, you have to fire in nanosecond, and a thick like a hair follicle, you have to fire in 10, 20, 100 milliseconds. Now each wavelength penetrates a different depth. So where my target is deep, I have to choose 1064. If you choose around 400, 500, 540, it will not go deep. Fluence, highest tolerated fluence will give the good clinical result. So you have to choose the millisecond, microsecond as per the target diameter. Depth of the target you have to choose, and then you reach there either by wavelength or by spot size. You see the smaller spot size has a shallow penetration. A wide spot size can reach deeper. So if your hair follicles are 4 millimeter deep, you require at least 6 to 10 millimeter width. Your spot size of the LHR handpiece should be at least a centimeter, 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter. If you try to remove the hair with a 3 millimeter spot, it will not reach, because the depth of the penetration is less when the spot is narrow. So penetration depends upon wavelength and spot size. Wavelength for deeper. Cooling, you want to protect the epidermis, so cool it. When the laser fires on the tissue, the effects are photothermal, photomechanical, photochemical. Photothermal is either coagulation, like in the CO2 and RBM, vaporization, like in RBM mag laser, selective photothermolysis in all other lasers. There is a just hitting of that molecule, selective photothermolysis. Since RBM mag laser, there is a more vaporization, and in CO2 there is a more coagulation. It depends upon how fast the energy is absorbed. RBM is absorbed very fast, so it just evaporates. CO2 is absorbed slowly, so it coagulates. Rate of the evaporation depends upon energy density, means how fast you are giving those joules. In the ultraviolet lasers, it breaks apart the chemical bonds. So they are the high frequency, they are short wavelength, high frequency lasers like excimer laser. How the excimer, ultraviolet B, POA therapy, narrowband, everything work? They work by targeting the DNA. It breaks apart the chemical bonds. So it has a photochemical reaction. All the ultraviolets are photochemical reaction. Anything above the 500 nanometer, photothermal reaction. Anything CO2 RBM is a evaporation, photothermal, photoacoustic. What is this? This is cornea. What is this? This is slicing of the cornea. Thickness of cornea is 100 micron. 0.1 mm is thickness. A laser is sitting on a transparent cornea where the light has to go through and through the cornea. This laser is not going through the cornea. It is sitting on top of the cornea. Thickness is 100 micron. This is making a slice of 20 microns. Can you imagine a light sitting on a glass surface and making a slice of 20 micron? This is a magic. Impossible thing as per our intuition. It happens. This is a excimer laser for the corneal plasty. It slices 20 micron out of the 100 micron thickness without going through and through, sitting on the top, a light sitting on top of transparent surface. It's a magic. This magic happens only in the laser. Another laser, argon laser, goes through cornea, lens, vitreous, retina, and burns the capillary or arterioles. So in the retinopathy, we coagulate the vessels with argon laser. One laser going through and through centimeters deep in the eyes, and one sits on top of cornea and goes 20 micron below and slices transversely. It is a magic, and this magic happens only with the laser. So guys, laser is respected because of its selectivity. Selectivity is nothing less than a magic, and this magic happens only because of the parameters of the physics. So you want to understand the magic of a laser, you need to learn the physics. Now the physics is nothing less than a magic. So a light sitting on a cornea and light going in the retina in the same eye, same light, just a different wavelength. So this magic happens only with the laser. So that's why we are the laser guys. So we are the magicians. We can do the magics. Now coming to the IPLs, in the last 10 minutes, I will finish this, how the IPL we can use in the laser way. You understand the laser and use the IPL. So there is a one flash lamp, a long flash lamp. There is a mirror so that the light comes only in one direction. Then this is the filter. That pink color is a filter. This green is a light, glass, that handpiece. And through that light, the IPL light comes out. So this is the structure of the IPL handpiece. Again, now you compare with laser. What makes laser special? Wavelength, pulse width, fluence, and spot size. Now wavelength we'll see in detail. Spot size we'll see in detail. Fluence, now the newer IPLs have a very high power. How we'll see in the detail. Spot size is always larger, so it can go deep. IPL is a polychromatic, means multiple wavelengths. Laser is a monochromatic, only single shade, single color. IPL is a multiple colors. So it can be a broadband, it can be narrow band. How to a broadband light, how we make narrow? By filters. What is filter? Okay. Very common filter in the IPL is a water filter. In the IPL, there is a flash lamp, the light comes out, and we have to filter that light to have only certain wavelength and eliminate few wavelength. How to eliminate unwanted wavelength? One is a water. That light passes through a film of water. And now you know water absorbs anything above 900. So 900, 1000, 1064, 1100, 1500, all the infrared is absorbed by water. So just that IPL light pass through a water and you eliminate all the thermal wavelengths which are infrared. 1000, 1100, 1200, 1500, all those are filtered. Okay. So now you get a flash lamp light less than 1000. Now there is a lower filter. There is a glass filter. You have seen that pink glass in the IPL handpiece. There is a one special glass. That glass will filter anything ultraviolet. Water is absorbing infrared, and the silicon filter is absorbing the infrared, ultraviolet. So anything below 400 is absorbed in the silica filter. Anything above 1000 is absorbed by water. So you get a range of 400 to 1000. Now there's special filter which will filter below 540, below 570, below 600. So these are the IPL filters. If you put that filter, that light pass through that filter, and anything less than that cutoff wavelength is absorbed or blocked. So if you have a filter of the 540, means anything less than 540 is absorbed. Anything above 1000 is by water. So what you get is 550 to 1000. If your filter is 570, what you get is a 570 to 1000, all the wavelengths. Now, this is the ultraviolet light. These are the different filters. Now, there are some filters which convert the ultraviolet light into red color. They can convert the ultraviolet less than 400 nanometer to green color or blue color. This is called as advanced fluorescent technology. So the fluorescent light means ultraviolet light. That ultraviolet light, instead of just blocking it, filtering it, it is converted to a desired light. Means your machine shows only 20 joules, but your this ultraviolet portion is converted to green color, so your green color becomes 24 joules, but overall dose of the machine is only 20 joules. So this is a better utilization of the light. Instead of just blocking the light, it is converted into a required spectrum, required color. So this is called as a advanced fluorescent technology, also called as photon recycling, also called as light energy optimization. So this is the conversion of unwanted light to the wanted light. Okay. This is one more concept in the filters now. Now we have the lower filter, 400, 450, 470, 570, 540, 600, 620. But now there is upper filter also. Traditionally, water is the only upper filter. Now we have the filters launched by Alma first time. That upper wavelength, you have the 500 to 600, means there are the two filters. One filter will block anything below 500, other filter will block anything above 600. Now they are filtered between the 550 to 650. Anything below 550 is filtered, anything above 650 is filtered. Now they have 550 to 600. Means anything below 500 is 550 is filtered, anything above 600 is filtered. Means you got a IPL spectrum of only 5 to 550, 550 to 600, 500 to 600. What is the magic? If you get only 500 to 550, means it is as good as your Q switch 532, it's pigmentary laser. If you have anything like 550 to 600, it is vascular, because what is the wavelength of vascular? 585, 595 is the wavelength of vascular you use in the pulse dye laser. Your pulse dye laser is 585. So you have filter of the 550 and 600. It's a purely vascular. The peak of the 532 is also eliminated. So these are the recent advances in the IPL filters. You have this called as sandwich filters. This is called as the double filter, dual filter. And Alma launched that first time, and I think we in Skin City launched that first time in India so many years back. This came around eight years ago. But this is a wonderful thing. If you have the 550 to 650, you don't need a pulse dye laser. This is as good as a pulse dye laser. So in the pulse width, traditionally there used to be 3 pulses: click, click, click. If you want to fire 20 joules, there is a 24, 22, and 18. And the average is 20. The machine, the software calculates the average, but actually there are 3 pulses. First is a high pulse, second is a less energy, less joule, third is a less joule. Why? Previously, the capacitors in the machines where they take time to charge. So they fire once, they take few milliseconds to charge. Again they fire, but this time they are not charged fully. Again they fire, so energy goes down. But now you have a very high quality capacitors. Now all the pulses are of the equal size. Now what we get is a train of pulses. So instead of the one pulse, second pulse, third pulse, high energy, medium energy, low energy, it is a pulses of same energy, same joules. It is called as train of pulses. Okay. Again, go to the basics. 3 cardinal feature of the laser. Now, in the IPL, monochromatism, is it really necessary? No. The laser are monochromatic, so are using it. But for clinical effect, you don't require a single wavelength. If you have the another 5 wavelength plus minus is okay. So monochromatism is a feature of laser, but that is not essential for clinical effect. That's why a narrow band IPL is always better than a laser. Okay. Co-limited, very low divergence. It is necessary, may not be. If your flash lamp IPL is delivering sufficient number of photons to the tissue, then your collimation may not be necessary. Then coherence, all the light in same phase, even that is not necessary unless you deliver sufficient photons to the target molecules. All these property of the laser, though they are the best unique property of the laser, for clinical effect, they are not required. So mind well, we learn the unique feature of the lasers, but they are hyped much. Same function is achieved with the IPL with a little bit diluted physics parameter. So you don't require a very sharp wavelength, very sharp parallel rays. No, IPL has the similar effect of the laser. If you can adjust this parameter, not as good as laser, but near to the laser. Again, go to the basics. Basics of the selective photothermolysis is wavelength, pulse width, fluence, and spot size. In IPL, now it's becoming comparable to the laser. Why? Because it's becoming narrow band. Now IPL is competing with the pulse dye laser. The IADVL on the Harmony, they launched first time, and this gives a result as good as a pulse dye laser. Why? Because this 585 and 595, this peak is targeted by this dual filter IPL. So if you target this, you are not, you are eliminating the 532 and you are targeting only 585. So you are a very good pulse dye effect with IPL. So this is called as a IADVL, IPL with a pulse dye property. Okay, which wavelength is vascular? Because we are so stereotyped. The laser company says 1064 is vascular. Because the book says the pulse dye is vascular, we mug. Vascular is pulse dye. No. A hemoglobin can be targeted by 1064, 5755, 650, 570, 540, 544, 590. All these wavelength can target the vascular. So all the wavelengths are there in your IPL. So you have the 4 or 5 different options in the IPL to target the vascular lesions. So don't go by stereotyping 1064 or only 585. No. Laser physics is never on a single wavelength. You see that curve, each molecule is absorbing so many wavelengths. One is at higher level, one is at lower level. But all the molecules absorb all the lights to large extent or small extent. So it is not only single wavelengths absorbed. Okay. In port wine stents, we use the IADVL laser. It's IPL, sandwich filter IPL. So this is the result after 4 settings. So result comparable to pulse dye laser. You can get fantastic results even in the adult port wine stent. Here the pulse dye also doesn't work. Telangiectasia, it is 570, IPL 570. That works well. Telangiectasia, IPL 570. If patient is fair, you can use 540. Patient is darker, use 570. Very dark patient, use 590, 600. Acne redness, a fair patient, use 540. Dark patient, 570. If patient is dark and the acne redness is there, red scar, use your LHR 620 you can use as a vascular. So this was my paper presented in the ASLMS in 2008 using the IPL for a pigmentary IPL, a vascular IPL, 570. I use 570, which is vascular wavelength. I use for the Baker's nevus. I get fantastic results. I did a split comparison study. I used half with the IADVL, that is a vascular IPL, and half with the Q switch. You have a much better clearance on the IPL side. A vascular wavelength of the IPL has a much, you can see this, a much nicer clearance than the Q switch. So my vascular IPL is much better than my Q switch. So this is wonderful. In pigmentary, you can use the, so the 570 is a vascular or pigmentary. It's both. It depends upon relative density of target. If you have the more pigment, your same vascular will act as a pigmentary. If you have the more vascularity, like the port wine stain, it will act as a vascular. So same wavelength here in this case is a pigmentary. In another case, it is a vascular. So know the physics well. Don't go by stereotyping. Company says it is a VLPL. It is a vascular filter and pigmentary filter. No, hair removal filter. You can use the hair removal filter for pigment. You can use hair removal filter for vascular. Now vascular wavelength, you can use any. Pulse width, all. So these are the IPL results with for the freckles. Fantastic clearance. Baker's nevus. No scarring at all. Now, in the vascular, what is we have seen the wavelength. You can use anything, 500, 540, 570, 590, and 620. Anything you can use for pigmentary. Anything you can have vascular. For vascular port wide stain, what is the pulse width? Your pulse dye laser, initially, it was in microseconds. That caused a lot of purpura. So they changed the pulse width from microsecond to millisecond. They made it 1 to 3 milliseconds. Now they say that even more than 1 or 3 milliseconds is required. So my IPL has 10 milliseconds. So if the IADVL has come up from the 500 microsecond to 3 millisecond, so 3 and 10 milliseconds is not much big difference. So my IPL with 10 millisecond works as vascular. Okay, because pulse dye has upgraded the pulse width. By physics, it has to be in microsecond. 500 microsecond is requirement of a port stain by physics. But now all the machines, they use 3 milliseconds. I use 10 milliseconds and gives fantastic results. Other indications, now my last slide. Other indications are like in the same IPL, you can have the narrowband UVB. In the same, you can have the 420 as a photodynamic therapy of the acne. You can have the hair removal laser 620. You can have the pigmentary 540. You can have vascular 570. You can have the 700 plus. It is skin tightening handpiece. So all these are possible on the IPL. Same handpiece, just change the filter. Very fantastic machine. So you have the 8 machines, 6 machines in a single machine. The newer adaptations like super hair removal, in motion technology is possible in the IPL. IADVL, the PDL-like function is possible. Dual filter IPL is possible here. Nail fungus, Dr. Ajay will show that magic of the using IPL for the nail fungus. That's possible on this. So IPL is master of all. Only limitation is you need to master the physics, because for hair removal laser, you need to learn the physics of only one wavelength. Here for IPL, the machine is cheap. The learning is expensive. You have to learn the physics of the 500 nanometer. You need to learn the physics of the 540 nanometer. You have to learn the physics of the 590 nanometers. You have to learn the physics of the 1000. So this is a master of all only if you master the laser physics. And I'm done over here. Whatever questions Pradyumna will gather, we'll discuss in the panel discussion. And the other interesting indications Dr. Ajay will be showing. So I thank the organizer for this opportunity to present the physics, laser physics applied to IPL. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dhepe, for an excellent presentation and enlightening us on the basics of laser and sharing your experiences with the IPL. Now, moving on to our next presentation, our next speaker is Dr. Ajay Deshpande, who has been using the IPL since many years for multiple indications. He also has many publications in the same field in various prestigious journals. He will share his experiences with us. Over to you, Dr. Ajay Deshpande.
Thank you, Ritu. First of all, I am thankful to Team IADVL Pune for doing such an excellent CME dedicated only to IPL. I am using IPL since 2008. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Ajay, go ahead.
You are audible, you are visible, your voice is excellent, and you are looking.
Thank you. And Nitin has made my topic very simple and very easier because he has covered almost entire aspects of the IPL physics. So I will focus mainly on the clinical aspects of IPL. That is my experience. So he has already covered this thing. IPL produces a non-coherent light beam. It generates a variety of fluences in multiple pulse duration, and pulse duration can be varied. As Nitin said, not a laser, but works on similar principles. There is a computer software which provides flexibility in using the IPL. It has a bigger spot size, so larger areas can be treated efficiently with less discomfort. It has a longer wavelength, which penetrates deeply, improves clinical efficacy. Different pulse delays, which splits the energy into 2 or more pulses. In between the pulses, skin can be cooled between the pulses, which results in fewer and negligible side effects. And Nitin has covered this, so I will just give in a nutshell. It IPL specially selects the wavelengths of light penetrating to the skin. It targets hemoglobin and melanin, which absorb the light with minimal epidermal or dermal absorption. It is converted to heat, destroying the vessel or lesion, and damaged tissue is removed by the body. Efficacy of IPL depends on following factors. Absorption of specific wavelength by the target structure, which is achieved by appropriate wavelength. Exposure time should be less than or at least equal to the time of the cooling of target structure, that is pulse duration. This is achieved by pulse duration. Then the need for enough fluence to produce a damaging temperature within the target structures, which is achieved by a proper energy level selected by from the machine. Now, what are the pros and cons of IPL? It's a very versatile device, ergonomically designed, user-friendly, adequate penetration levels, precise short and long pulse and free intervals between the pulses, faster recharge times, ideal for treating vascular targets, and can be easily combined with other modalities. But there are certain cons also. The main important disadvantage is the relatively long learning curve, which I think can be reduced by using it frequently. Second is unnatural rectangular footprints in case of complications. It requires chilled coupling gel and requires proper skin cooling. So what are the applications of IPL? The list is ever increasing, and Nitin has already covered most of these topics. Hair removal, acne vulgaris, rosacea, hyperpigmentation, melasma, photomelanosis, lichen planus pigmentosus, hypertrophic scar skeloid, nail disorders, port wine stain, hidradenitis suppurativa, poikiloderma, keratosis pilaris, hemangioma, skin rejuvenation, and it is still increasing. Coming to the hair removal, I will give only few important aspects about IPL hair removal, and I will focus mainly on vascular indications. For skin type 4 to 6, always use split mode pulse to avoid PIH. How to reduce methods to reduce the incidence of adverse effects: lightening of the skin and sun avoidance prior to IPL treatment, cooling of the skin during treatment, which is done by inbuilt cooling tip and splitting the pulses, and sun avoidance and protection after treatment. What is the endpoint of session? Perifollicular edema and erythema. In the second slide, you can see popping up of hair, which indicates exact parameters. This is the pilonidal sinus treatment with IPL. After 8 sessions, you can see that the sinus is completely healed. Take home message for hair removal: thick hair responds faster than thin hair. For thick hair, use shorter pulse width, 5 to 10 milliseconds, and for thin hair, longer pulse width. Axilla, pilonidal sinus, beard in males, ear pinna responds earlier than other areas. Upper lip slowest to respond. Approximately 8 to sessions are required for satisfactory hair reduction, and there is no endpoint because even vellus hairs can be amenable. Coming to the vascular mode, which is the most versatile and highly efficacious for vascular lesions. As far as the vascular mode is concerned, there are 3 most important factors to achieve maximum results. First is using appropriate wavelength. Second is exact pulse duration. And third one is pulse width. Now we'll discuss each one about the wavelength. Vascular mode of IPL uses wavelengths from 510 to 585 nanometers, green to yellow. The targeting for is oxy and deoxyhemoglobin. 510 to 530 nanometer filter emits wavelength of green light, which is used in superficial vascular conditions when size of the vessel is small. While 560 and 585 nanometer filter emits yellow light, which is used in deeper vascular conditions and where the vessel size is larger. Coming to pulse duration. Depending on the size of the vessels to be treated, the pulse duration are optimized. Smaller diameter, that is 0.1 to 0.2 millimeter bright red vessels are treated with shorter pulse duration between 2.5 and 3.5 milliseconds. So smaller diameter, shorter pulse duration. Slightly bigger vessels, medium size vessels like 0.2 to 0.3 millimeters are treated with pulse duration between 3.5 to 5 milliseconds. And larger vessels like 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters are treated with a pulse duration of 5 to 8 milliseconds. Blood vessels larger than 0.5 millimeter will require the longest pulse duration possible by the device. Coming to pulse width. A pulse width of 10 to 20 milliseconds of pulse duration 2.5 to 8 milliseconds, assuming the thermal relaxation time of human epidermis between 10 milliseconds, the treatment of smaller vessels should be done ideally with multiple pulses with at least 10 milliseconds delays between pulses to allow for adequate epidermal cooling. To summarize in nutshell, if the vessel size is small, wavelength 510 to 530, pulse duration 2.5 to 3.5, for example in rosacea. If the medium size vessel, use wavelength 530 to 560, pulse duration 3.5 to 5. Clinically, it can be in hypertrophic scar. If the vessel size is larger, then you have to use a longer wavelength, that is 560 to 585, pulse duration 5 to 8 milliseconds, like in cases of port-wise veins. Now, do we need collateral thermal damage in targeting vascular targets? The answer is yes, but in a controlled manner. Why? Because the target in vascular lesions is a dynamic chromophore. As blood flows into the vessels, new untargeted blood takes away the heat induced by the light absorption, protecting the vessel by thermal damage. So larger spot sizes are recommended to increase the heated volume of blood. Hence, deep dermal penetration at equal radiant exposure values without increasing the epidermal damage is achieved. So it is very important to know the approximate vessel size in the lesion to be treated before initiating treatment. So how it can be approximated? Either we have to do histopathology of the lesion, or we can do dermoscopy in most vascular indications just before and immediately after delivering the energy. It is called as test patch. So ideal to know the exact parameters required. As in this case, this is before and this is immediately after one pass. Sorry. You can see on the left side of your screen, there is a reduction in the pustules and vascular dilatation is seen in the black arrow. And on the right side, the vascular dilatation has reduced after giving one pass. Now coming to the clinical indications. First is acne vulgaris. Now I will not go into the parameters as such because parameters will vary from device to device. But what parameters I am using, I will just convey it to you. The cutoff filter is 440 to 1100. I give around 7 joules of per centimeter square fluence, 3 milliseconds of pulse width in continuous mode. 6 passes were performed over the entire phase, followed by 6 passes of 2 sub-pulses of 14.2 joules per centimeter square fluence over the lesion only. Now, high continuous mode and single pulse mode. Continuous mode is have uniform photothermal, photochemical, and photoimmunological effects. This helps in longer remission as well as helps prevent formation of new lesions in uninvolved skin. Whereas single mode of IPL exerts antibacterial and anti-inflammatory effects over the involved area. IPL may produce post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation and scarring in skin of color when only single or burst pulse modes are used. Hence, continuous mode followed by single pulse mode is advisable. It is also safe to use IPL in pregnancy, and I have done a study. Before that, I will give the mechanism of action of IPL in acne. Basic mechanism is selective thermal damage of P. acnes. P. acnes produce and store porphyrin. Hyperkeratinization of the pilosebaceous unit due to hormonal changes leads to blocked sebaceous spore. This creates anaerobic environment for P. acnes, which in turn multiply and release porphyrin. IPL penetrates into the hair follicle to target P. acnes by triggering porphyrin activation. A study was conducted over 100 cases with inflammatory acne using these parameters and published as an original research in the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology using Helsinki Protocol and Ethics Committee review. These are the pre and post results with IPL in acne. Persistent erythema is a common phenomenon in treating inflammatory acne. You can see here after the complete resolution of acneiform active lesions, erythema remains there. Initially, only acne probe of 440 nanometers was used to treat. A simple modification was added later on, that is use of vascular probe 530 nanometers after 440 nanometer probe on same sitting to minimize this erythema. And results were gratifying. Now you see the results in the next slides. Here there is absolutely no erythema after treating with IPL. 440 nanometers followed by 530 nanometers on same sitting, 6 passes each in continuous mode and double pulse mode for 4 sessions. Once remission is achieved, maintenance of sessions of once a month for 6 months should be followed. A few more cases. To reduce the incidence of PAH due to minocycline in darker individuals, concomitant use of IPL is very useful. As you can see in this case, patient was put on minocycline. There was post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, and the treatment was done with IPL along with minocycline. The chances of PAH reduced. Another important phenomena is post-retinoid erythema. This is a very common feature. After one starts isotretinoin for inflammatory acne, lesions disappear, but erythema sustains. So we have tried 2 weekly sessions of 530-560 nanometers of 3.5 millisecond pulse duration. This is after 2 sessions. To avoid this, now I have started using combination of systemic isotretinoin and weekly or fortnightly sessions of IPL, which helps reduce the chances of persistent erythema, which is very common in fair skin. You have the results. To avoid persistent erythema after isotretinoin, simultaneous use of IPL. You can see in these results, the results are quite gratifying. There is no erythema post-retinoid therapy once you use combination of these two, isotretinoin and IPL. Steroid acne. Why IPL? Tetracyclines, isotretinoin may flare up temporarily. They may take little longer to respond. IPL helps to respond faster. Sometimes even monotherapy is more than sufficient. Now you can see I will show you a few of the results. Here, 440 nanometers followed by 530-560 nanometers vascular mode to reduce the persistent erythema in steroid acne. Another case, this is given by Dr. Vinit Dubey. 440 are followed by 530. Now these women, these pictures of female patients I am showing are all pregnant women. So there was no chance of using any systemic drug, no chance of using retinoids topically also. So all the cases were managed with IPL and sometimes with benzoyl peroxide and clindamycin topically. Coming to the next indication, that is TSDF. It is a prolonged use of triple threat combination creams, difficult to withdraw the creams, and there is hypersensitive skin with hypertrichosis, difficult to treat. There is increased vascularity and activated VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, due to topical steroid use. Now, because of this VEGF, there is a role of IPL. Due to this, IPL vascular mode is very effective in reducing PSDF faster without any rebound pigmentation. You can see a few results. 530, 560 with pulse duration of 3.5 to 5 milliseconds. Every fortnight, continuous mode of 7.1 fluence followed by double mode of 16 fluence. 6 to 8 passes in continuous mode and 4 passes in double mode. Minimum 6 to 8 sessions are required. Pre and post cooling is a must. Few more results. Combination of Q switch and IPL. For resistant melasma and with photomelanosis, combination of Q switch and IPL alternately or on the same day. Low fluence Q switch laser penetrates deeper, so chances of permanent confetti-like hyperpigmentation is there. But IPL targets epidermal pigment and vascular component. Hence, less number of Q switch settings, less chances of hyperpigmentation. This was published in Journal of European Academy of Dermatology and Mineralogy. Coming to resistant melasma, 530, 560 nanometers again, only continuous mode of 7 fluence. In melasma, it is better not to use single or double pulse mode to prevent footprint like PIH. Now, conventional PIH has longer pulse durations and has a limited effect on melasma because melanosomes have a shorter thermal relaxation time. However, low fluence IPL has a nanosecond level pulse duration and allows selective thermolysis for melanosomes with minimal side effects. Rosacea. IPL therapy is a proven therapeutic modality for rosacea of varying severity. Precautions before starting IPL in rosacea: discontinue tetracyclines before initiating IPL therapy, or reduce the fluence by 20%. Hold on alpha-adrenergic agonists and allow maximum erythema to reoccur. Prophylactic ivermectin 12 mg has demonstrated light and heat sensitive and actually may lead to exacerbation of rosacea if not given. Darker skin types are prone to greater risk of adverse events, so use low fluences and longer wavelengths. How it acts in rosacea. Broad spectrum light is in 500 to 1200 nanometers enables selective photothermolysis of deoxyhemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin, leading to targeted destruction of superficial dermal vessels. Several prospective studies have demonstrated the efficacy and safety of IPL for erythema, telangiectasias, and papulopustular lesions of rosacea. Even granulomatous rosacea has also been reported to improve with IPL. These are the parameters. I use both continuous as well as single pulse mode. Continuous mode followed by a single pulse. And always remember, dermoscopy before and immediately after single pulse to analyze the exact parameters. The study was conducted in 30 cases of various subtypes of rosacea. The results were complete remission was observed in more than 90% of the patients. The mean time to disease control and time for complete remission was 4.2 weeks and 10 weeks respectively. 22 patients were in complete remission and were off all treatment, while 8 patients need maintenance of monthly treatment. 2 patients experienced relapse after a mean duration of 14 months and were treated with IPL treatment again, which induced new complete remission. These are the few photographs before and after. All the patients having rosacea over the nose. Granulomatous rosacea combined with systemic acetretinoin initially, later on maintained with monthly IPL for 6 months. IPL improves dry eye symptoms of rosacea. Treatment of periocular inhibit propagation of inflammatory mediators to the meibomian glands. How to treat eye of rosacea with IPL? Treatment is given in horizontal fashion from tragus to tragus and from maxillary process of zygomatic bone to inferior orbital rim using proper eye shields. This patient is having eye rosacea as well, and there is redness, inflammation over the eyelids as well, which is reduced after the IPL treatment. This study of 30 cases was accepted for publication in June issue of ASLMS Journal 2020. This is a case of rosacea after treatment with only IPL and ivermectin, nothing else. After 8 sessions and maintained with monthly IPL pulses of another 6 months. We have done a study about dermoscopic monitoring of response to intense pulse light in rosacea in association with Dr. Ankad and published in March issue of Dermatology and Practical and Conceptual Journal 2020. It is the first study of this kind showing encouraging proposed prospects. The point behind doing dermoscopic monitoring is that many times we see clinically there is a response, but as soon as you stop the treatment, there is a flare up. So we are also judging by doing dermoscopy whether the dilatation of the vessels is really there, decreased or not by doing dermoscopy. And we found that even if you do IPL treatment regularly for 6 weeks and then once in a month, the dilatation of the vessels remains low. This is the dermoscopy of before and after. The A figure will show you light yellow arrows, which shows brownish yellow areas in the skin. The black arrows show linear vessels in polygonal factor, dilated follicles shown by blue arrows. You can see in figure B that the black arrow markings, that is the vascular markings, are reduced. That is, dilatation is reduced, and follicular structures are also reduced. Now coming to other uses, common disorders like hypertrophic scars, nail disorders, relatively uncommon but stubborn disorders like hidradenitis suppurativa, uncommon conditions like cutis marmorata congenital, telangiectasis marmorata congenital, and telangiectasis macularis eruptiva persistens can also be treated. Now, this is the case. Probably most of our seniors in Pune have seen this case almost 7-8 years back. This is a case of cutis marmorata telangiectasia congenita. It was treated with 530-560 nanometers with 3.5 and 5 milliseconds pulse duration of 13.4 fluence in single pulse mode every weekly for 4 sessions, followed fortnightly for another 6 sessions, and maintained with 3 once-a-month sessions. Patient is asymptomatic for more than 5 years, and it is almost cured the disease. Now you can see the results. After 2 sessions, there is a reduction in erythema and ulcerations. 6 sessions, almost complete recurrence, resolution. And after 10 sessions, there is practically no new lesions or complete resolution of the disease. This case was how IPL worked in this case. It's a selective absorption of light by tissue water leading to the conduction of heat to the surrounding collagen, resulting in collagen synthesis. Prothermal effect to induce synthesis of collagen 1 and 3 by increasing fibroblast activity, which helps in healing of ulcers. IPL corrects dilatation and proliferation of capillaries. This helps in reducing the erythema and thereby correcting the disease process. This was published in Journal of Cosmetic and Laser Therapy, December 2017. Coming to the port wine stain. Now, this is the table from our own guidelines, ASICON guideline, task force guidelines about the use of choice of lasers in PWS. Now, if you read this table carefully, you can see in every type of PWS, there is a IPL. Earliest, smallest vessels, laser of choice is PDL, KTP, IPL. Indistinguishable, very small, barely visible by to bare eye, PDL, KTP, and again IPL. Reddish patches, again there is IPL. Thick purple palpable nodule, IPL. So for port wine stain, I think IPL is a very, very good device to be utilized. What are the parameters for port wine stain? 560, 590 of pulse duration 8 milliseconds. Always use single pulse mode. It is very painful with fluence of 30 to 40 joules. Can be treated under surface anesthesia and pre and post treatment cooling. Don't forget to do dermoscopy before applying anesthetic cream to assess the exact parameters, because if you forget to do dermoscopy and you apply anesthetic cream, then dermoscopy pictures may change. Weekly sessions are required initially for 4 to 6 sessions, followed by once in 3 to 4 weeks. Immediate blanching of the lesion is the end point of session. 75 to 90% diminishing in lesional vasculature on dermoscopy is evident by 10 to 12 sessions, which is clinically and aesthetically acceptable to patient. Now, dermoscopy of post-Weinstein, it is recommended before as well as immediately after the treatment. What are the observations? Dotted and globular vessels, they are superficial. Linear vessels, they are deep. Now, how to assess clinically, whether they are superficial vessels or deep vessels? All these vascular differences are reflected clinically also. If the lesion is pink, that means the vessels are small and they are deep. If the lesion is purple in color, that means the lesion vessels are large, but they are deep. Red lesions are superficial. So this is the dermoscopy of Port-Weinstein. On the left side of the screen, in the circle, you can see superficial vessels as red dots. The broad arrow, it is deep vessels, and thin arrows, that is follicular opening, are before delivering the energy. On the right side, immediately after delivering the energy, you can see in the red circle, black circle, red dots in circle are reduced. And the bold arrow, which shows deep vessels, show flattening. It is immediate post-treatment. These are few of the my patients who are treated with IPL of Port-Weinstein and showing almost 80 to 90% reduction in the vasculature, which is acceptable to the patient. Now, I will show a few interesting cases. This is a case of a 55-year-old female, asymptomatic erythematous lesions with central telangiectatic vessel on both extremities and back, otherwise healthy. You can see on her arm, there are multiple erythematous lesions with central telangiectatic vessel. This is a very old case, so the picture is not very clear, almost 7 years back. We did a biopsy. The low power upper part of the dermis shows dilated capillaries. This was shared with me by Dr. Mahajan sir. Again, these are very old slides, so not very clear. Colloidal blue show perivascular mast cell, which suggestive of telangiectasis macularis eruptiva persistens. It was treated with 530, 560 nanometer filter with pulse duration of 3.5 milliseconds. 6 passes of single pulse mode with 13 joules of influence weekly for 4 weeks. This is the before treatment and this is after treatment. No recurrence of lesion even after 6 months of stopping the treatment. Now the query is that vascular dilatation responding is explainable. What about mast cells? What happens to mast cells with IPL? It's still a query. That's why IPL is always a ever exploring device. You should know, one should know that how I am using it. Coming to hypertrophic scars and keloid. It's an excellent modality, especially in fresh lesions. Not effective for keloid of longer duration, but surprisingly quite effective in keloid who initially responded to internal ILS plus FFU, but later on recurred, mostly because of neovascularization. IPL is effective. It reduces the number of injections required if combined with IPL for keloid, reduces the recurrence rate of keloid when compared to ILS plus FFU therapy alone. Surface anesthesia may be used to ameliorate pain as high affluence is required for keloid. When combining with ILS on same session, I'd first do IPL session followed 30 minutes later with 30 minutes later central lesional steroid. There are few of the report cases before, this is after, this is before and after. IPL is effective not only in improving the appearance of hypertrophic scars and keloids, regardless of their origin, but also in reducing the height, redness, and hardness of the scars. Few more cases, single pulse vascular filter, 8 passes fortnightly, 4 to 6 sessions, and this is a keloid, this keloid has recurred in 6 months after successfully treated with ILS FFU, subsequently treated with IPL alone for 6 sessions, remission for more than 2 years. Now, I will not compare these two in technology as such because both the technologies are really good, but for fractional CO2 in hypertrophic scar, downtime is there. For IPL, there is no downtime, and IPL is more effective for early erythematous type, fractional CO2 effective for both. Coming to nail disorders. In nail disorders, 2 conditions come to mind. when I use IPL, onychomycosis and nail psoriasis. It can be combined with systemic and topical appropriate therapy. Nail lacquer should be removed before delivering treatment. Surface anesthesia is required. Highest fluence, 30 to 35 joules per centimeter square for a given device in a single pulse mode is ideal with 9 passes. This is before. Onychomycosis, periungual edema and tenderness disappears within 3 weekly sessions, which suggest effectiveness of treatment and correct parameters. This is after. The lower picture is before, the upper picture is after. You can see that the periungual edema and tenderness has reduced after 3 sessions. Few more pictures of onychomycosis. After 10 sessions, weekly 4 sessions, fortnightly 4 sessions, monthly 2 sessions. Another before and after 10 sessions, before and after 10 sessions. According to selective photothermolysis principle, such radiation absorbed by the target tissue is converted to thermal energy that causes deactivation of the parasite organism by destroying it or render it unable to grow or reproduce itself. That is the mechanism of action of IPL in nail disorders like onychomycosis and nail psoriasis. A polychromatic spectrum of wavelength can fairly be advantageous as it allows a wide range of chromophore absorption. Fungal coloration in the affected area tends to assume yellow to brown tones that acts as a chromophore and therefore absorb a part of the visible light energy, which result in specific thermal damage. Complications and adverse effects of IPL. No treatment is devoid of complications and adverse effects, and IPL is no exception. But one can minimize it with proper selection. Case parameters, delivery of sessions, pre and post cooling, and proper selection of device. These are the complications one can come across. Early erythema, blister appear within 24 hours. It should be avoided. This is because of wrong parameters. And second is post-inflammatory hypo and hyperpigmentation, band-like. So coming to last slide, selection of device. No device is best. Device should have flexibility as far as pulse duration and pulse width is concerned. Instruments with inbuilt pulse width and pulse duration should be avoided. All vascular wavelength should be available and not like 530, 1200 nanometers or like. As Nitin has already told us that there are now newer devices available with shorter filters like 550 to 650. So they are very good machines actually. So buy to learn and not learn and know. As unless one buys good quality IPL and explore it, learning IPL is difficult. Those who want to learn IPL or read something about IPL, this is a book. And I'm fortunate enough to contribute a chapter, probably the only Indian to contribute here, Intense Pulse Light for Acne vulgaris, chapter 10. Thanks for the patient hearing, and thank you to the organizing committee, Dr. Dhanashri Bede, Dr. Pradyumna Vaidya. Sincere thanks to you.
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful presentation and sharing your experiences with the IPL. I'm sure today's presentations will motivate a lot of people to use the IPL for its versatility. Now, moving on to the most awaited interactive panel discussion, I would now hand over the proceedings to Dr. Purva Shah.
Dr. Purva Shah will introduce the panelists, Pradyumna Vaidya, and the rest of the panelists, and then Dr. Pradyumna Vaidya will take over the proceedings. Dr. Purva, are you there?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
I now, yes.
Yeah.
Purva?
Purva, we can't hear you, Purva. Hello?
She has left the screen.
She has left the screen.
Yes.
Ritu, can you go ahead?
Sorry?
Will you introduce Dr. Pradyumna?
Yes. So,
Yes.
Purva is joined. Purva is joining.
okay, then wait.
I've joined. I got thrown out for a moment there. Sorry about that confusion. So let us now begin with the panel discussion. I would like to introduce to you Dr. Pradyumna Vaidya, who is the moderator for today. Dr. Pradyumna Vaidya is a consultant dermatologist at Jahangir Hospital and Dinanath Mangeshkar Hospital, Pune, and is a recipient of various awards, the Dr. B.S. Bhavani and the D.J. Patil Award, to name a few. Amongst the other panelists are Dr. Satish Udare, sir. Dr. Satish Udare is the medical director of Sparkle Skin and Aesthetic Center. He is a reviewer of many journals, has many international presentations, and is also on the editorial board of a book called Cosmetic Dermatology. He's also edited various books and has written books in Marathi. We also have with us Dr. Varsha Sidwarkar. Is a consultant dermatologist and dietitian, has 15 years of private practice behind her, has many paper and poster presentations at various conferences to her credit, and is a recipient of the Dr. A.C. Parikh Award. I hand it over to you, Dr. Pradyumna, sir, to take it forward with the panel discussion.
Thank you, Purva, for the nice introduction. I think it was an amazing session of technology as well as the application of IPL laser. Excellent presentation by Dr. Nitin and superb, fantastic results which were shown, and very innovative use of IPL was shown by Dr. Ajay sir. Thank you, both of you. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some practical points which we will require whenever we are going to use the IPL. So that we will discuss. I'm just sharing my slide.
Ajay sir has been the Dhoni of this IPL.
To me.
दोघांनी मस्त घेतलेलं just. आता प्रद्युम्न will make the difference now.
So IPL and Enigma. See, what I have observed is many people have got IPL in their OPDs, but very few people are using IPL, including myself. I've got one of the best IPLs, but I'm using it for very minimal indications. Now I'm getting a confidence to use for many other indications after hearing lectures from Nitin as well as from Ajay sir. So thanks for that. But what is the enigma and why we are not using IPL so in day-to-day practice, that we will discuss, and we'll try to overcome that hurdle. Now, as you have learned from this presentation, it's a very versatile machine. So many new indications, so many interesting indications were shown by both the speakers, especially Dr. Ajay sir. As Nitin has rightly pointed out, it is considered as jack of many indications, and master of all indications was shown by Dr. Ajay. So I will not say that it is a poor man's laser, but it is a jack of many indications and master of also many indications. But unfortunately, it has got a very long learning curve. And as rightly pointed out by the speakers, we should buy the machine, we should start using that machine, and then only we will be able to understand what are the parameters, exact parameters, which wavelength to be used in which indication. As Nitin has said, for pigment, we can use the laser wavelength also, and how it is to be used, and on our machine, how it is going to be used, that is very much important. If used judiciously and properly, it can give excellent and wonderful results. Understanding the technology, and that was the purpose for this seminar to be organized by the Pune chapter. So understanding this technology is very important. It should not be the first machine just for the sake of the cost, but the use is varied, so can be used in our day-to-day practice. Many people say, okay, my first machine is going to be an IPL because it is cheaper machine, so I will start with that. It should not be that approach. We should purchase IPL because it's a good machine. It has got good technology and varied indications, so that should be the purpose. I will start with Satish Udare sir. A simple question. Apart from the indications which Dr. Ajay shared, what are the indications for IPL use in your practice, sir?
First thing, I will start with this thing, with the idea that learning curve is high, and that's why people are not using it. Because, in a lasers, basically, if I've bought a diode, I just have to ask a person who's using it and use it and fire it, this thing. Here, IPL, every machine is slightly different. And because it is different, you'll have to buy a machine, understand it. So like Nitin has given us beautiful lecture on the basic physics of it. But once you know the basic physics, you should understand your machine, what advantages it can give, what disadvantages it can have. So if you know that, then you will use it testing. Now, depending on this thing, we have used it in so many indications. Wherever there is a vascular prominence, I've used it. Like Nitin said, I've used it for, even I tried in psoriasis. Basically, that is another indication. When I didn't have my examer, I used to use it for IPL as examer, because it can give up to 350, 380, 410, which where the maximum power was there. So I've used it on psoriasis also when the examiner was not there. I've used in vitiligo as something on the similar line. Pigmentation at various phases. Like you have got a poikiloderma, you can use your IPL. You have got a pigmented purpuric dermatosis, where the vascular element is there, where the pigmentary element is there. I've used it with a good amount of effect. Nitin has already given us excellent result on Baker's nevus, and I think the best thing that works in Baker's nevus is IPL only, not the QCH India, not sometimes, of course, adding a little bit of CO2 laser to it, where the superficial layer you peel off definitely gives a little more advantages. Vascular lesions on the face. Acne, basically the inflammatory part of acne works very well. It is, Dhanush had already asked whether it is used alone. I don't think it's a quick fix, what we will use it as, rather than a curative treatment. So whenever there is a vascular element, pigmentary element, whenever there is, now again, the last and important thing is, because the pulse, the frequency is up to 1100, it can be used as a rejuvenation. The rejuvenation is one indication which IPL we don't use, because we don't age probably as the vital counterparts age. But yes, rejuvenation definitely gives better results. And melasma, definitely, use it judiciously, understand your machine, and you can use it in this indication also. Thinner hairs is supposed to give better hair. So you have used your diode, got good amount of hairs, hair reduction rates, and then the thin hairs remain where your diode is not going to work further. IPL has a little advantage. I can go on, but I think
Yes.
let other people know.
Varsha, can you add something more to this? Any other indications you are using?
I totally agree to what Dr. Udare sir has spoken. Knowing your machine and using it properly. In my practice, I have used in lot of photo rejuvenation patients, along with chemical peels. This has been my area of expertise. The various dyschromias that we have, the vascular as well as the pigmented, we can target that by using different filters. I've used extensively the 530 nanometer filter for the superficial lesions, and the deeper one, that is the vascular one, that is the 590 wavelength nanometer filter I have used. And along with this, again, inflammatory acne, it has helped to reduce the duration of antibiotics as well as isotretinoin use, which is a plus factor in using IPL in combination with our medical line of treatment. Secondly, also it was an accidental, what do you say, relevation. When I had used it in hair reduction, and on the chin, the patient had an accident caused a scar. It had shown very good result in that also. So again,
Okay.
it has added to my indication also.
Post-traumatic scars also you are using. Ajay sir, can you just elaborate how can be used in pigmented purpuric dermatosis, because that is very resistant and nothing helps in that. So have you used it, and what are the parameters to be used, and which handpiece to be used? Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, LPP. LPP, basically the pathology is hyperpigmentation. There is a lichenoid infiltrate, and there is a.
No, I'm talking, we will talk about LPP also, but I'm first asking about pigmented purpuric dermatosis.
Pigmented purpuric dermatosis, I have personally not used yet, nor for this condition, but definitely it's a vascular component which is effective in that condition. So I will use 560.
Okay.
560 will be the better filter for that.
Better wavelength. Satish Udare sir, how are the results of PPD? Because many people will be interested in using that. We get many cases and we are not offering any treatment for that.
It's
So how
excellent
we are
result.
using that?
Your pigmentation goes off, your vascularity, the red areas in the vascularity goes off, and the results are definitely good.
Okay. Nitin, can you elaborate more on the Baker's Nevus use? Because again, we are not using any treatment modalities for that. So there are two components, the hair component and the pigment component. So how you go about it?
Baker's nevus, as the textbook says, that laser or treatment does more harm than the good in the Baker's nevus. That was the Cochrane review. The how we treat the Baker's nevus. My thought process is you target the pigment specific lasers. You resurface the resurfacing lasers, and I have my third way. The mechanism which I propose is a debulking way. The debulking is by two ways. Is one by resurfacing with CO2 or RBM, and debulking by blistering. So the IPL in the Baker's nevus usually work by debulking by the blistering, blistering on the epidermis and in the depth of those pores and the appendages also. So the fantastic way of having a blister is a pigmentary IPL 540, 570, which has a very great correction because once you blister, you already reach the safe limit and healing is in very safe way. In the same CO2, RBM or resurfacing, you don't have a depth control and you may have a chances of scarring. If you use a CO2, you have more thermal element which goes in dermis, having scarring. In IPL, if you use a correct parameter, square pulse, a wavelength of say around 560, 570, not 540, but 560 or 570, then you get a perfect blistering. Your thermal component is in only in epidermis and is not going in dermis. That is the my logic of using that in Baker's nevus, and that works fantastically because the pigment density is very high. Whatever you are
Okay.
firing is going in only in upper way. So if you
Okay.
get a blister, that's a correct parameter.
So you are saying you should use 570 and the blister should form so we can get some kind of results. You are not treating it separately, hair removal and then pigmentation. You are not doing like that.
Once I take care of the pigment, then in a separate session I do the hair removal. Because hair removal
Okay.
is a very different.
Can I answer?
Sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Pradyumna, can I answer?
Yes, please, sir.
What I am following for Baker's nevus is I am doing first hair removal with hair removal filter, followed by pigment pigment filter. It is 560 on
Okay.
same session. On same
Okay,
session.
on the same session.
And
Okay.
what Nitin is saying is the correct way I am doing also. That we have to give what you call it debulking. After hair removal, do debulking.
Debug.
560.
Okay. Okay. So whenever you go through any of the books, there are so many indications of IPL which has been mentioned, and so means better than the CO2 or the long pulse. IPL is having so many indications, so I think you should start using for that. Any experience of for Stry? Have you used for Stry? Any of you? Any of you can
Yes.
comment on that? Yes, sir.
Yes, it definitely gives. It's a basically like I was telling, you are using from say 570 to 1200, where your collagen remodeling is going to occur. See how it acts on the rejuvenation. Same thing here. It is going to be acting. I have used in quite a few. I combine it with my RF energy also, and it is giving an added benefit in style. But to heating up, see either you have to use your IPL, CO2, and this thing three. So you can combine three one by one. But when I had only IPL, I had used it quite often, and it still was giving results.
Nowadays,
Okay.
there is
Any
a
other
fad
inputs from?
nowadays there is a fad of this protein diet and all these things. And all these youngsters are coming with big strides on their shoulders and on their buttocks and waistline. And they are very active. They are very reddish erythematous. In such conditions, in such strides, IPL is very effective.
Fresh
Do
ones
you
with
combine?
lot of erythema. Fresh ones, they definitely do well rather than the white old ones.
Yes. Do you combine it with some other technology like PRP or something like that? Or plain IPL is also sufficient?
For older stripe, I think one should combine with PRP.
Okay. Nitin wants to add something.
In the stretch mark, we have the three types: white, red, and the black. Okay. Red is the young one. In the young one, the major component is vascularity. And basically, uh, if you control the vascularity, you control the future collagen remodeling also. So in the older scar, the red and the black, you need to use something more than 600. If your hair removal IPL is, again, you can use that. Skin tightening IPL, you can add to that. If it is anything, Stria nigra or the alba, you use 600 wavelength plus. If it is red, then use 540, 560, 570, depending upon the patient's skin color. Patient is fair, use 540. Patient darker side, use 570. Then if your stretch marks are older, then you recreate the vascularity. How you recreate the vascularity? By microneedling, MNRF, fractional CO2, any other things. They usually they are creating the injury, you are creating inflammation, and that's improving the vascularity again, and treat that vascularity, because vascularity is the main controller of that inflammation. So how much inflammation, how much collagen deposition, that inflammation and healing process, the key factor is the vascularity. So if there's no vascularity, create one and then treat with the IPL. So the IPL modifies the vascularity in such a way that your collagen deposition is on a better side. The ratio of the type 1, type 3, that becomes better. So if there is a no vascularity, create and use the IPL throughout, because that works on the vascularity, that dilutes the pigment, and anyhow it is working by remodeling of the collagen. So the only IPL in a white stria may not work well. So there you add at least your derma roller. That's much deeper.
Combination.
Yeah. So any fractional
PRP
injury or any PRP and other thing, if you are creating some edema in that tissue and using IPL, that works wonder.
But shall we combine the technologies in the same session, because vascularity will require some time to have? So is it not practical to do first derma roller or fractional technology, wait for some time, have the vascularity over there and then do IPL, or we can combine in the same session?
No.
See, if you do the derma roller, fractional, and then IPL, technically there is no clear optical window, penetration of light is not well. So any light should be before causing a fractional. So the rule of thumb is, if you are doing some fractional along with other laser, the laser has to be first, not the fractional, because any fractional CO2, RBM, MNRF or derma roller, that is creating a optical blockage. So your laser IPL may not penetrate deeper. So your IPL laser has to be first and then fractional. Our logic goes that we want to first create a vascularity, redness, and then IPL, but that doesn't work in that way. If at all you want to do the fractional for creating vascularity a week before, and next week you can treat with the IPL. If on the same day, it has to be on a clear optical window. There's no scabs, no bleeding, no vertical channels, means no fractional. IPL before, your laser before, and then go for the fractional, because fractional is making that tissue opaque. So there's no penetration of light.
I think the weekly process is better than doing everything at a time.
Yes.
I think this is a very important take-home message for all the youngsters and as well as for the seniors also. Do the IPL first and then do the fractional technology. Or if you want to do a fractional technology before, at least wait for 1 week or 2 weeks and then add IPL. IPL has to be on the clear surface. Am I right?
Even for keloid,
skin, no scabs, some redness and the clear skin, IPL works better. Some
even for keloid, you first do IPL and then give internal.
Okay.
On same
my protocol for keloid is do IPL 1 week, do IPL 1 week. A third week you give intralesional. The intralesional really walks in, because the collagen has become so soft, and then repeat it as per requirements.
Okay, we will come to that individual indications in the subsequent slides. So this was an image which I got: fine wrinkles, pigment spots, sun damage, enlarged pores, redness, rosacea. These are the different indications which we can treat it with IPL. Any of you can take this question. Do you recommend IPL as a beginner's instrument? If yes, why? If no, why? this is for basically who are going to start their practice. Shall they go for the IPL as a beginner instrument, Dr. Ajay, because you are using it a lot?
Probably I'm using it because I bought the IPL as the first machine.
Acha, you
Then
bought
I
it as the
purchased
first.
other machines. So
But
I
what
don't think
was your thinking when you brought IPL as a first machine? Was the different indication or the cost factor was the driving
no.
force?
Only thing is it's a broad utility. It's broad utility and its utility is almost in every day. So that is the only thinking which I was under impression ki IPL can be used for many conditions which come across in day-to-day practice. And I have just shown you one slide that you buy to learn and don't learn and then buy.
Yes.
I think,
Yes, sir.
I think after Nitin Depe's lecture today, those people who have listened to it and understood the physics behind it, and if they have understood, I think any machine will be easier for them. IPL definitely makes you more, understand the laser physiology, because you have used it. This thing, what IPL cannot do is Q switching and your CO2 ablative lasers. These two, ablative still it can do little superficially, but Q switching it cannot do. Otherwise, you can do in every indications. You'll have to buy the machine, as Ajay has rightly said. Understand, listen to Nitin again if you want, and definitely you can use it as a beginner.
Varsha, what was your thinking when you went for an IPL machine? I think you are not using other diode or Q switch. So what was your thinking when you went for IPL?
Basically, when I thought of buying a machine, the first one was the cost, and second was I wanted something which can be used in all possible indications. So, as Dr. Deshpande sir has rightly said, using it for multiple indication was my driving force. But after buying the machine, exploring it is more important. As we all know and we have seen throughout the lectures, understanding the parameters and applying them on the patients, that gives a very good learning. So as of now, buying any kind of laser later on is makes my job easy, and using it is also easier.
Okay. Okay. So yes, Nitin, you want to add something?
As I said in the beginning, the IPL is a not poor man's laser. It is a intelligent man's machine. So anybody who want to read, learn, then only buy the IPL, because IPL is bought very casually because it comes cheap. It comes cheap, but the learning doesn't come cheap. So there are two ways of learning it: learning by your own mistake and learning by others' mistake and others' wisdom. So if you choose to learn by your own mistake, then it will be a big setback in your initial practice. Because I always say, what is most important for the beginners, you may not earn money well. You should not aim to earn more money, but what you should earn is a confidence, and confidence come with a good results, less complication and good result. And IPL learning curve is very high. So the initial, if you burn few patients, your confidence goes way behind or back. So initially, I believe the machines like the laser hair removal and other things, sophisticated machines, you buy first if you can afford. Why? It is very easy to use. The hair removal machines and other thing, now they are so sophisticated, it's very easy to use. Even you don't need to learn. Even a laser company guy will teach you, and your machine will work well. But in IPL, you need to read a lot, you need to listen to so many lectures, you need to explore so many patients, and in that, if your complication rate is higher, then you lose on the confidence. So for the beginners, if you have money, go for the bigger machines first, because that will give you the confidence, and then buy a laser. Unless you have enough time and money for reading, buying the books, attending the conferences and the webinars, please don't buy IPL, because once you buy the IPL initially as a cheap machine, you will lose the confidence in yourself, you lose the confidence in the laser technology. And यार ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता नहीं यार, ये कंपनी वालों का होता है. These key doctors are bought by laser companies. They just talk of this, and then the laser doesn't work. India में नहीं चलता है. Something like, you make up that mind. Why? Because you have not invested on the learning, you got the complication, you didn't get the result, and you find that it is ये 4 लाख का मशीन तो इतना ही काम करेगा. Your 4 lakh machine can even work as good as a laser, provided you fuel that with a good learning. Let me share my story how I started. When I bought all the machines, and suddenly I decided to attend the international conferences. I used to travel 110 days in a year and send the abstracts to. I took all the membership. I sent all the abstracts in a year. I used to get the 8, 10, 12 abstracts for each conference and 6 international conferences, 110 days out. My all the practice was flat. But in that period, I bought all the contemporary laser books. I might have spent around 12 to 14 lakhs to buy the books. My library has all the latest books that time, latest books on the Botox, latest books on the IPL, latest books on all the lasers. So my purchase of the books was 12 to 14 lakhs that time. And even I didn't have the time to read. I used to, but the best thing was I was listening to the conferences, I was presenting there, I was reading the books, and the same time I was using on the patient. And that made me something what you guys call as a laser man, something like it comes automatically because that learning happen theory. I read, I listen, I perform, I presented. That happened all the same time that brought me here. So if you don't have time to read, if you don't have attitude to spend on the books, you don't have time to attend the lectures and understand the things. What I understood is I was using the lasers without knowing any physics for 4 years. 3 years and 3.5 years, I was earning the money on the lasers. I was operating the lasers, but with a zero knowledge. That I understood only when I started attending the international conferences and reading the books. Buy the book, read, attend the conferences, then only laser is the best machine.
Yes, I think this is a very important view which has been put forth by Dr. Nitin, and I think everybody will agree with this. We need to spend time on our machines, maybe it a laser technology or IPL technology. And if you don't have time, and if your thinking is like only you're going to your technicians are going to use the machine, then IPL will be a difficult machine. And as rightly pointed out, the results are not good. Then we find that there are a lot of complications, we are not able to deliver the results properly, and then that machine is we just discard it and we don't use it. So understanding the laser technology, the IPL technology is very important, and that's why that was the purpose of this seminar. Now Dr. Dhanashri madam was searching for the pre-reads. I think you should all go through the pre-reads also, because that has also got good insights and good indication. After 2014 or 15, there are hardly any publications on IPL in JAD journal. So that is quite surprising. And there is no dedicated IPL webinars or no dedicated IPL lectures. So again, learning from conferences also becomes difficult for IPL technology. So that was the purpose of this webinar. Coming to our slides, again, these are the different filters which we can come across in IPL, and every filter has got different indication. So we need to understand what is 420 nanometer used, where it is used, what is 480, what is 510, and if we are able to master in these filters, then we can play around with the machine and we can get good results. So this understanding of this and how much is the penetration, that is also very much important. So here it is mentioned like whenever it is round about 400, 420, we can use it for the acne. Between 515 to 590, 600, we can use that vascular as well as pigmentation. So this kind of filters we need to understand whenever we are using an IPL. IPL has got 4-5 handpieces, and all handpieces has got different indications, but understanding what is the wavelength of that is very important, so that we can use it in a proper way. So that was the purpose of presenting this slide. Now there are a lot of advances in IPL technology. So what are the newer things which have come into the market? Dr. Ajay sir, you are studying IPL a lot. So what are the newer things like fractional IPL or any other technology which has come in the market?
Yeah, fractional IPL is one which is a really good one. Another one is pulse in pulse mode. That is for the low fluence IPL machines, where they are mainly indicating for these pigmentary disorders like melasma and photomelanosis, and they are also very good. these machines are, I think right now they are not available in India, but maybe by next year they may be available. As far as the costing is concerned, these machines are really costly.
Costly.
The pulse in pulse or the low fluence pulse, probably Nitin will be more aware of this cost thing.
Yes, Nitin.
In the IPL, when I started using that, so most of the IPL initially were without cooling. So you need to have the cooling gel in the fridge and use the cool air and other thing. One advantage is now the most of the machine come with the inbuilt cooling, and that has increased the safety a lot. Secondly, most of the machines they are coming with now the square pulse. Initially, all those high peak power and other thing which we learned a lot in the physics. Now most of the machine by default they are coming with a square pulse. Now the next technology, as Dr. Ajay said, it is split pulse technology. In like in Q switch, if you want to give a high fluence but with a gap in between, so that it will not burn or damage the melanocytes. So if the same fluence you are in a pigmentary lesion, if you are giving say for 10 milliseconds, so it has to be split in say 4 millisecond and 6 millisecond with a gap in between. So split pulse like in Q switch, pulse in pulse, or maybe split pulse, or all those different trade names are there. But basically, same millisecond, you have to give a small gap in between so that the melanocytes are cooled in between and the melanosomes keep on hitting continuously. That is the basic philosophy behind that. Split technology is another thing. Next is a dual filter, as I said, because upper filter was 1100. Now we don't need 1100, and we try to match the IPL with lasers. So only 500 to 600, 550 to 600, something that is coming. Okay, there we may be losing that advantage of having generalized rejuvenation and other thing or something, but we are trying to make it as narrow band as a laser. So that is another thing. And maybe even the lasers are trying to become polychromatic. The lasers are trying to become wide pulse, because the pulse die initially was in microsecond. Now it is coming in 3, 5, 6 milliseconds. So our IPL is already having 10 milliseconds. Any chip machine has a 10 millisecond that works for the muscular lesion. So hair removal. Only diode laser used to have that in motion technology or super hair removal. Now the IPL has that super hair removal technology. So all these advantages, modification which are happening in the laser, they're automatically coming in the IPL. And the IPL source is very cheap. There's a flash lamp. A lamp of 10, 20,000 is enough as a source. If your lamp goes in a 30,000 or 40,000, you will replace the lamp. Whereas if your laser tube in a CO2 or a diode goes, it may charge you around 6 lakh, 10 lakh, 12 lakh, something like. So your lamp is replacement cost is 30,000, and your laser tube replacement cost is 6 to 10 lakhs. So the IPLs are cheaper because the source is cheap, and all the parameters, as I said, we are copying the parameters of the laser and applying to the IPL. So your IPL are now as sophisticated in terms of the parameter as the laser. So all that logic of the laser physics for the laser is now roughly applicable to the IPL also. So the logic of pulse dye laser you can apply to the vascular filter. The logic of the Q switch you can apply to the pigmentary filter. And the pigmentary, the best thing about the pigmentary is, as I said, in Indian pigmentary lesions, Q switch are more inflammatory, so you get PIH or damage to the melanocytes. So the IPL are very soft on the melanocytes because that they work by principle of blistering, like in a suction blistering. You don't have a scar, you don't have a pigment, you get the pigment back. So IPL in the pigmentary work like a suction blister. So it has a much more advantage than the resurfacing with the CO2 and RBM, and it has very much advantage than the Q switch. Q switch is a very thermal, very inflammatory, and IPL becomes non-inflammatory because that inflammation is totally cut down by a blister. So in pigmentary, IPL scores much better than a Q switch. But right now, market is of the Q switch. Laser companies are spending.
That is the gimmick. Probably IPL is not coming in a big way because there is not much of study, marketing and everything.
Yeah.
And
see,
for the tips to the youngsters, what I will like to add, whenever you want to buy an IPL, don't go for the cheaper machines, because in that machine you are probably going to burn the patient. So go for a machine which is little bit towards the higher side, a lot of high-end machines. Because if you want to achieve good results, especially while using for vascular indications, we need to have a what is called as a variability as far as the pulse duration and pulse speed is concerned, especially using vascular filter. So
This is
better
true
to go
because
for a higher end machine rather than a cheaper machine.
very correct, Ajay sir, because many a time our mindset is the IPL तो ऐसे technician को देना है, buy a
Because
cheap.
what happened when I bought and first IPL in 2008, I was criticized by many that Arey, IPL only burns, burns and burns, nothing else.
Satish sir, what will be your tips for the youngsters to buy an IPL machine?
See, we have come long way for IPL. When I bought the IPL machine, definitely I had asked quite a few people, including our Dr. Depe, and there were no papers. Somebody said there are no papers because IPL companies probably didn't ask people to write papers for them. So there is no evidence-based this thing. But whenever I went through a book, like Ajay said, everywhere IPL name was there in every chapter. So it was working. So I said, why not? It is there in every chapter and it should be working. But when you buy IPL machine for youngsters, don't just buy. We have already come to a conclusion. Don't just buy because it is going to save you money. Buy it because it is going to work on many indications. But again, don't buy a typical 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 4 lakh channel. You want to play with the machine. You want to change its filters. So see that the filters are easily attachable. You don't have to have a separate thing where you remove this thing and it takes more time and then you get become lazy. So you've got easy changeability of the filters. It is better. See that the software what they are providing, which will provide pulse in pulse, which will provide the resting time, which will provide the individual thing. So all those things which are there. Top hat beam, every machine now is there. Cooling is now wonderful. So IPL burning, IPL damage, which was there in the past, it is not there. It is very safe machines, and you can use to the best advantage. Then, of course, the spot size. Some IPL we have already seen that larger the spot size, it can go deeper. So see your spot size, because if you are going to use it for hair removal, minimum 4 millimeter has to be 4 millimeter. You'll have to go deeper. So that much size has to be there. Then ultimately see what is the power it is giving. There are some machines which are there, which are the power is so low, whatever you are using best, it is not going to give enough fluence, enough damage to your target. So see that proper fluence is there. The most important thing is who's selling the machine. Are they going to give you service afterwards?
And backup. Yeah.
So what I feel is use the machine with intelligence, read it, and then definitely whatever machines you are going to use it to the best of your abilities and to the best give advantage to your patients.
That was very nice tips by Dr. Udare sir. I always have a question because the spot size of IPL is very large. So for managing smaller areas, Dr. Varsha, how you go for it? What are the modifications you have done by yourself?
For the lesions, basically I've used mostly for acne, wherein there was the modification was not required. But as I suggested for the scar and all, what I have used is to protect the surrounding skin. We can use a cut off paper where like we use
Stencil kind of a thing.
Yes, correct. That will save. Yeah, that will save the surrounding skin, and we can deliver the fluence that we want to the targeted lesion.
Okay, Dr. Ajay sir, but what material stencil should be used? Because otherwise, if it induces heat, then
it should be white in color.
It should be white in color. So this is a very important tip. And what the material should be?
You can use just like any sort of what is called as that engineering students are using those paper. What is that called as cardboard type paper?
Cardboard kind. But important is it should be white color. Satish sir, any other tips from you regarding the modification of the?
If I want to remove hair removal by IPL in the smaller area in between the eyebrows, the rest of the eyebrows, you use those paper sticking 3Ms and all those paper ones, white ones, where you can give layers also. The hairs are not damaged. You can't pull the hairs. So you can use it. Suppose I want to do a nail, like Ajay has put us nail. All surrounding area I cover with this sticking plaster, so that your surrounding skin doesn't get energy and doesn't get heated up and damaged. So
Okay.
cover it white sticking plaster. That is what I have found it very well.
Okay.
The
Okay.
white sticking tape that most of the furniture people use, it is very easy to use and remove also without damaging the surrounding skin.
Yes. Okay. So this important tip everybody can use in your practice. We will come to few of the indications. I think Varsha, you are using it for acne a lot. So how to start IPL means if a patient of this kind of acne comes to you. So in the first session, you counsel and immediately start with IPL, or you first try to give medical line of treatment, topical treatment, and then if the response is not there, then you introduce IPL. How is your protocol?
See, I've done both ways. Like initially, also for few patients, I have started with IPL. Using IPL in the first go, it usually decreases the inflammation and the post-inflammatory sequelae that we seen in acne. It also reduces, as we spoke before, also the amount of medical line of treatment. And secondly, we can use it parallelly also, along with the depends on the intensity of the acne. In this patient, if you see, the skin type has to be taken into consideration. For darker skin people, obviously the filter has to be 590 and the fluence should be low, used in continuous mode.
Okay.
So both
Ajay
using
sir,
it.
huh. Ajay sir, what will be your protocol? Means like you directly go for IPL or you first give antibiotics or acetylcholine as per the indication?
For inflammatory acne, I start with IPL, and if patient is in non-reproductive age group, I will add acetylcholine because IPL will give you faster results. That is true. Whatever medication you use orally, the comparative trial, if you use IPL plus any other systemic drug and only systemic drug, combination treatment always gives you faster results. Number two, chances of, as I have shown in the slides also, chances of persistent erythema post-retinoid, then PIH due to minocycline are reduced if you use combination IPL plus any systemic drug. So whenever a patient with inflammatory acne comes to me, I always start with combination.
May I add,
Yes, sir.
see, basically, as I was saying, it is a quick fix. Many times you get a patient who's going to say, कि Dr. साहब, ये लड़की को देखने के लिए आ रहे हैं, and she's got a lot of inflammatory big acne, all red areas there. Here, using it, your IPL simultaneously definitely gives a little quicker fix in these patients, and I would start it simultaneously.
Okay. Can it be used in nodular cystic as you are seeing in the first patient? Very
Yes.
bad severe nodular cystic acne. So will you recommend IPL or
Yes.
first do other procedures?
No. Start with IPL and systemic drugs.
And how is the protocol? Like once in a week, once in 10 days, how
I
you
follow
do
once
the
I do once a week.
once
I do
a
once a week
Week.
for first 6 sessions.
per 6 sessions? Okay. And then depending on the response, every 15 days or you continue once a week also if the
Every
response is
15
poor.
days, and then maintain with once a month.
Once a month. Nitin, what is your protocol in treating such kind of acne? If with IPL, if you want to add that.
Yeah. I layer with 420, then a vascular filter till the redness is there. So 420 is a photodynamic therapy that targets the P acnes. And the vascular take care of the vascular pigment both, because vascular is for 540 to 570, and Indian skin, the 570 takes care of pigment also. So till the redness is there, I will play around the 570 or something, which is a pigmentary and the vascular both. Maybe weekly initially till you get the, but it is adjuvant treatment. You can use as a standalone, but no need to take that risk of using a standalone, except the patient is pregnant, like Dr. Ajay said. With medical treatment, because a lot of redness is expected, so vascular filter weekly for the maybe 2-3 times, then every 15 days, and then maintain on monthly. That 420 works very well. Those IPL who has that 420, 440 or 400 something, there that wavelength works for the P acnes. You combine those two, they should
Yes.
be.
Only
Plus
thing I will
420.
add up, when you use 420, your bystander epidermal melanin is in danger. So always use pulse in pulse. Always use good cooling when you are doing. And don't forget, if you are really worried, if the patient is dark, give a test spot. Ask the patient to come next week. Don't worry to give a test spot, even if the patient is in hurry.
So by rule of thumb, the 420 is not a photothermal; it's a photochemical effect. So it has to be
Yes.
the dose of, if my vascular dose is 16 joule, 20 joules on my harmony, then my 420 is around 6 joules, 7 joules, 5 joules, something like.
No joke. That's what
So
I'm saying.
your dose on the 420 is actually much less, because there you don't want to create a heat, not a thermal effect. It's a photochemical effect.
Photochemical effect.
Very
Porphyrin.
Yes. Varsha, what is your pre-protocol and post-protocol for this kind of patients? What are the
Yeah.
precautions you take?
Actually, I wanted to add one more thing in the nodular cystic acne thing. Basically, the company gives you a choice of 2 or 3 filters. Suppose if we do not have the acne filter, that is the 440 nanometer filter, we can definitely use the 650 because the absorption range of the P acnes, like the protoporphyrin, also is there in 600 nanometer wavelength. So accordingly, we can use different filters even if we don't have the acne filter. And secondly, the question that you have asked for the pre-treatment, I would definitely counsel the patient because here we need a multiple sessions for the result to occur. And secondly, photo protection is very important. So in pre-treatment, definitely cleaning the face before starting the procedure to
Cleaning
remove
with?
all the
Cleaning with?
we can use a alcohol-free cleanser that we have at our clinics, and the makeup and all that the patient applies in, especially in the female patients. Secondly, the eye protection is important while we are giving the while we are carrying out the sittings, and post procedure, again photo protection and application of ice is very important, because most of the patients carry on with their day-to-day activities after the procedure, and giving a good sunscreen is a must.
Yeah, pre-cooling also you do in these patients?
Yes, the application of cold gel is a prime, like it is very important. That gives the cooling of the skin. And secondly, one more thing I would like to add while we are applying the filter to the skin. Mostly it happens so that we pressurize the area, which is generally have to be avoided, because by giving pressure, what happens, the vascular component we are clearing from the surface, which is basically required for using the vascular filter. So not pressurizing the area is the important point that
So
we.
this is very important point. Say
Very
Yes.
about the technique of the using IPL, there are two school of thought. One is you have to touch the skin, press and fire, or you have to press, lift for 1 millimeter, and then fire. See, the laser physics changes when you are touching to the skin, and where you are 1 or 2 millimeter above the skin. So your dose, say 12 joule or 14 joules by touching the skin. If you are lifting the skin, it may become 16 joules. So master one technique only. If you are keeping 1 millimeter gap from the skin and the handpiece throughout your career, you keep that gap only, because your thought process and logic develop with that. So somebody is touching to the skin and maybe using less fluence. If you are lifting 2 or 3 millimeter, you may require more joules to have the same effect. So standardize your technique, how much millimeter you are lifting the tip from your from the skin. Secondly, the tip should be very parallel, and there has to be a gel in between. If you have the air interface, the light will not pass, or it may have the refraction, and the correct dose is not delivered to the skin. The most common mistake is the handpiece is oblique, so the tip is pressing the skin and the other part is 4 millimeter away from the skin. So you should avoid that. Get two hands and make it parallel to the skin. So as per the contour of the skin, you have to move that both the hands and trying to keep every time parallel to the skin. My technique is I press, then lift 1 millimeter and then fire. So I press, lift means again I am getting that capillary vasculature back and I'm firing. Secondly, about cooling, if you are, see the most of the laser physics or anti-inflammatory or scar modification, something goes around the capillary blocking. So the vascular component is playing anti-inflammatory role as a scar remodeling role, even the rejuvenation role. So that capillary is blocked if it is too much cooling. So if at all you want a patient is on darker side, so go for your hair removal. That hair removal will act as a vascular. Use 600. Your 600 is useful as vascular. 620. Your machine has a 650 as a hair removal. Even that may act as a vascular if the patient is very dark. Don't go for the 540. Don't go for 500, 480 or something if the patient is on darker side. So use a higher wavelength, less cooling there, so that even the capillaries are intact and that's working on that dark patient. So the not pressing it, using little bit higher wavelength, 570, 580, 600, 620, or sometimes your machine don't have that, you have directly 650. Even that may be used as a vascular, because as we said, the same wavelength act as a hair removal, pigmentary or vascular depending upon relative density of target. So if you have more capillary, more redness, even 600 is vascular, 650 is vascular. If there is a melasma, your 650 is pigmentary, your 600 is pigmentary. Okay, so you target vascularity, don't press, don't cool, and then use a little bit higher wavelength, 600 or plus minus for darker patients.
So these are very good tips which are been given by all the panelists, and I think we should all note this and try to implement in our practice also. So these are very important tips: how to hold a handpiece, the gap should be, how gap should be there, how much pressure to be given. And these are very practical tips. Thanks for that. Coming to the next indication.
Whether lift up means lifting above the skin or touching the skin only, not
Yes, gently touching the skin.
Above the skin, 1 mm is the standard. See, when the IPL came in the market, all the initial IPL, their standardized technique, all the publications are 1 millimeter gel in between the skin and the tip of the IPL. That is the standard publication. So whenever you read all those parameters, all the publication, they refer to your tip with a 1 millimeter of the cooling gel in between. So that is the standardization. If at all you have a habit of touching the skin, then you stick to that and develop your logic with that. There you have to use 2 joules less than what the publication says. If the publication says 16, 18, you use 2 joule or 3 joule, 10, 15% less than that if you are touching the skin.
Okay. Thanks for that. We come to the next indication. I think Ajay sir has told about this, but one question I wanted to ask Dr. Ajay sir: why we need to stop tetracyclines? What is the specific reason you mentioned tetracycline to be stopped?
Simply because of photostimulation. Photoallergic reactions can happen with tetracycline and IPL. And there are certain papers also on that. So better to avoid tetracycline while using IPL in conditions like acne and rosacea.
And other things also to be stopped, like topical treatment also you told to stop. That is because the vasculature becomes less and the effectivity will be less of IPL.
Yes, vasculature will be reduced. So
yes. Udare sir, how frequent, means how you start, means the first session you start and how frequently you do the sessions in rosacea?
No, similar way. I think that Ajay has given us the best protocol, and weekly is definitely better. When as you get the effect, you can space it later on. But
okay, so I will just repeat the protocol for 6 weeks, once a week. Then next 4 sessions, once in 15 days.
As per the patient's response.
Okay.
But
okay.
Only one thing. Before starting IPL for rosacea, one must start ivermectin. Before that,
one must start
ivermectin.
Ivermectin. Okay, so that is again an important tip.
Don't start IPL without starting ivermectin.
Ivermectin, orally, topically, both are only orally. What will you recommend? Orally. And how frequently to be given?
Once a week, 12 milligram.
12 milligram once a week. So again, this is a very good tip.
throughout
So
treatment.
before starting IPL for rosacea, start ivermectin 12 milligram once a week, and then start the sessions for IPL.
Yes.
Okay.
There are some different
Anything, Varsha, you want to add in this?
No, I
Rosacea?
agree with what Deshpande sir has suggested.
Okay.
I have some different protocol for rosacea. Usually,
Huh. Tell me.
I usually use a very high fluence like the port wine stain. I usually burn the skin. That takes the healing downtime of around 6 to 8 weeks. I tell the patient, this will burn, you will get the scabs, and it will it will have the hypopigmentation and other PIH for at least 1.5 to 2 months. And that gives a single session clearance of rosacea, which stays at least 6 to 8 months. So my
Okay,
patient
so it is always good to have two different views in a panel, so we can choose what is the best. So your protocol is treat
not for the
very aggressively.
not for the beginners.
Of course,
At
of
my
course.
stage, when I say the patient, I will burn your face and it will remain white and black for the next 2 months. They accept and they go, and in one session, I clear the rosacea, which stays for 6 to 8 months.
Okay, okay. And then you continue with some topical treatment or oral treatment, or you only give some sunscreen and that kind of things.
Metronidazole gel, that's it. Moisturizer, a cleanser, and a metronidazole gel.
Okay,
I give sunscreen and systemic ivermectin once a week.
okay, okay, okay. For how long you give, sir?
Systemic ivermectin once a week, probably 6 months.
6 months. Okay, okay. Coming to the next indication, this lady has underwent some procedure and that erythema is persistent. So can IPL be used in these conditions? And if yes, how to use it? Ajay sir, you can take this.
Yeah, we can use this. There is no problem with this because there is definite vascularity is there, increased vascularity is there. And
Yes.
whatever post-acne erythema and post-persistent erythema after procedure, I have covered in my topic as well as in my,
Yes, you have
I have shown you
covered. Yes.
slides also. It's a very good indication for IPL.
Yes. Udare sir, what will be your approach for post persistent erythema post procedure? Because nowadays many parlors are doing, many youngsters are also doing a lot of procedures, and that erythema persists for a longer time. So how to place IPL in this?
See, first of all, let us define what is longer time. Is it going to be
Yes.
1 week? Is it going to be one month? Because I wouldn't put my IPL immediately. The patient has come with all the redness, and I want to reduce it and do IPL immediately. First, wait, watch. It could be just inflammatory. If it doesn't go by 15 days, and then probably we'll call it persistent. Do a dermoscopy. I think Ajay has given us a beautiful paper on that. And if that shows permanent dilatation, then I would put my IPL rather than just to give it for the erythema which has come up.
I would like to differ. If there's a redness, you put your IPL. Don't need to investigate. If
Because,
you
because I will tell
It is
you,
going to go off.
erythema with the eyes, maybe the dose can be guarded and less. If हाथ कंगनी को अरसी क्या redness दिख रहा है तो then fire with the IPL. Dermoscopy क्यों करना है?
नहीं करना.
But I like the approach. Means like for our record keeping also dermoscopy, what Dr. Ajay sir has showed is excellent, and I think we should start using dermoscopy a lot. Means though it is for the diagnostic purpose, we can also have the prognosis also by doing dermoscopy. I think we should have means we should do more and more dermoscopy in the procedures also. That's a totally a newer approach. What I feel. Udare sir.
You have given retinoids to this patient with acne. He's got redness. You just have to wait for 3-4 days. Don't put IPL just because you have it. I don't agree with Nitin on this point.
If you don't charge and do it, there is no problem. So, so it is for sake of result, we can add it being safe. And I agree with the Pradyumna because the entire vascular laser, the physics goes with the diameter of the capillaries. So doing a dermoscopy and getting a feel what size of the blood vessels are there, that definitely will improve our insight what dose of the IPL we should use. Because the smaller capillaries, larger capillaries, there you need to change those milliseconds. So that I believe that will definitely
dermoscopy will definitely provide you exact parameters to be needed.
Yes, that was an excellent tip. I must say, Ajay, that was an excellent paper.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I think this question, Nitin, you can take PDL versus long pulse versus IPL. What you will go for this?
The thing works in the adult port wine stent. My protocol is different. I use RBM mag laser to resurface the entire epidermis, and then I fire the pulsatile laser or vascular IPL. Because in adult port wine stent, even the pulsatile laser doesn't work. The success rate is very low in a dark Indian adult port wine stent. So I have a series of cases where I did the resurfacing with the RBM mag laser. Subsequently, in the same session, firing with the vascular double filter IPL, and that gives the excellent clearance in 1 or 2 sessions. Otherwise, even the pulse dialyzer will require 10 to 15 sessions. So,
But Nitin, you said you will do fractional laser later than the IPL. IPL first and then
no fractional. I am doing a full resurfacing. I'm doing a resurfacing.
Pradyumna,
Yeah.
Yes.
I have experience of using IPL in such cases with sirolimus topical.
Sirolimus topical. Okay. So
And
what role does
definitely have a
sirolimus?
role. Sirolimus definitely have a role in this sort of what is called as port wine stains.
Adult
There
port
are
wine
multiple
stain.
papers on sirolimus along with PDL as well as IPL and long pulse. So sirolimus should be added in the protocol.
Okay. So again, this is a good tip. And how you prepare sirolimus?
We have to crush the tablets of sirolimus in petroleum jelly and apply.
Okay, in petroleum jelly, or can we use tacrolimus? Sometimes
You
people
can use
dilute it in
tacrolimus
tacrolimus,
also. You can use
but
tacrolimus
the cost
also.
again goes high.
Cost
Yes,
goes
cost
high.
goes high. Okay, Varsha, you are using IPL for these indications?
No, I have not used actually.
Okay, again, I think this is very difficult, and we need to think differently out of the box to treat this kind of condition. As Nitin has said, ki full face resurfacing and also use IPL, and as Ajay sir has given a tip, use IPL and use sirolimus also. Satish sir, what is your opinion?
very poor. I tried with my IPL initially. I didn't get very good results, so I have not.
You are not using much.
Yes.
Okay. She came for IPL rejuvenation. Can IPL be used in this kind of patients for rejuvenation? She doesn't want much of a downtime. That was her expectation. So is she a good case? Varsha, will you go for facial rejuvenation with help of IPL in this kind of conditions?
For this patient, definitely yes, because in IPL the downtime is very less as compared if we have to compare with PDL, wherein we have a purpura and all. But in this patient, using a vascular filter and a low fluence will definitely help. It will give, but only thing is I have to counsel her for multiple sessions. That is the only drawback for using this photo facial
Yes,
IPL.
Satish sir.
Yes, definitely yes. We would like to do. The only thing is my own experience as far as rejuvenation there. Photographically, you can't show too much of evidence in this case. Patients feel better. Patients are saying, yes, I feel my skin is tighter. It is a little fairer. Those spots have gone, and overall they are happy. But if I take serial photographs, I have not been able to show results to demonstrate.
Fully agree with sir. That's the only reason why I have not kept any photograph in a presentation about skin rejuvenation with IPL.
But
Because there is absolutely no comparable results which we can see pre and post. Both look same.
But patients are feeling better.
Patients
They
are
say,
happy.
yes, it has worked very well. I feel more youthful. They are definitely feeling better. But then photographically, I have not found to show that this gives result.
Let me share one
Nitin,
slide.
what are you doing?
Pradyumna, let me share one slide.
Yes, I will stop my slide sharing. Yes.
This is a single session of the resurfacing followed by the vascular.
Okay.
So,
but there is some pathology in my slide. There was no such pathology. She wanted some rejuvenation, some good effect. So here we can see appreciable results because there is some pathology which is associated with that. So we can appreciate in the post photograph.
Some vascular element is there here.
Yes, yes.
Vascular as well as some pigment.
Okay. For rejuvenation, which filter you are using and how frequently we are doing that?
Rejuvenation, there is a different parameter called as a IADVL, where you use a low dose and the repeated, like how we with a 5 hertz or 10 hertz frequency with a dose of 3 or 4 joules, like how we do with the RF tightening or ST handpiece on the harmony. So for rejuvenation, the vascular laser you have to use in a very low dose and in motion technology, like how you do for a skin tightening handpiece. So that is a new protocol for rejuvenation. So the 4 joule, 5 joules, and you have to fire continuously, like how you do the hair removal technology. And that is
There is a one question from the audience. How to clean the glass surface of the probe? What are you people using while cleaning that? Varsha?
I have used the alcohol-based cleanser that gives quite a clean surface. But only thing you have to be very careful. There should not be any scratches on the filter because that again decreases the potency of the spectrum that we are delivering.
Okay. Satish sir, any more tips in this
I
cleaning?
use tissue and same alcohol-based disinfectant.
Okay. Okay.
Tissues are better, so they don't scratch at all.
Exactly.
Right. And one more thing, if we should not use any cloth because the microfibers that can remain on the filter, that again causes a problem.
Okay. One of Dr. Nitika has asked in hair removal, diode versus India versus IPL, how you place in your practice? Like if you are having a diode and IPL, how to go about? Shall we combine, or if the diode is not responding and the hairs have thinned out, then only we add IPL? How is the protocol, Nitin?
diode first, as I said, because none of us do all the hair removal by ourselves. If you are doing yourself, IPL is best.
Okay, so that will be your statement.
Your assistant is doing, then buy a sophisticated machine with a very high safety margin. In IPL, your assistant can burn a case very easily. A tanned case, a dark patient, they can burn very easily. So a diode laser now with a very good safety parameters all are available. So that has to be the first choice if your technician is doing it. If you are a beginner, you have enough time to explore for every patient, then only buy. Again, the message is same. The IPL is a very wonderful machine only if you are knowledgeable and you are made yourself knowledgeable by spending a lot of time to learn. Then only buy the IPL. Otherwise, just a cheap machine and a cheap technician and run the machine. No, that will make a big disaster.
My own experience as far as these two technology which I've now used, diode and IPL, India I have not used. But the first 3-4 sittings, your diode gives little better results. The patients are little more happy. But at the end of say 8-9 sittings, both give almost comparable results. And after that, the thinner hair where your diode is not going to work, your IPL is maybe giving little further advantage in that.
Okay. Coming to the, I have got many other slides, but I think time we have already exceeded. I will take only one last question and then we will stop. I think we need one more webinar on IPL to have more insights in this. But before we end, there are few questions like in which company IPL is the good and also economical and as a beginner which should be purchased. So any practical suggestions on this, Dr. Satish sir?
I think Nitin will be able to, because Nitin is the person who has used many and many companies.
What we will do is which IPL machines you are using that we can have. Which machine you have, sir?
I have got used two machines. One with Nanolite, which was the best one, which was averagely priced, has got all the advantage. And I've got one more where I had to change the whole this thing, which then I started using less. But then my point is, don't buy too cheap
Too cheap
machines.
machine. Yes.
Chinese you tend to avoid. The Koreans are slightly better, but see all the parameters which are there. Your software is there, your power is proper, and ultimately the company is going to give you after sale service.
Varsha, which machine you have got?
Actually, I have the Formatec IPL machine. If we have a choice, either we can take three filters out of the four. I have chosen to take the vascular filter, that is 590, the hair removal one, which is the 640, and 530 filter. But the thing is, with the hand pieces, apart from the hand pieces, the machine does not give you much of a play. We have a fixed skin type of the patient, and only thing that you can change is the fluence of the uh, fluence. Only the hair removal handpiece has a adjustable pulse width. So accordingly, when you know your machine, then only you can do the permutation combination and help the patient.
Okay. Ajay sir, which one you have got?
I have the same Formatec, but my device is different than what Varsha or even Dhyanath is having. It's a bigger machine with we can play with the pulse duration, pulse widths. They are not inbuilt. Number one. Number two, there are four filters available in the machine. One is the acne pro, second is the vascular, third one is the hair removal. Hair removal, there are two, one with the bigger spot size and the one with the smaller spot size. As we are discussing previous few times back, what about the eyebrow? How to treat the hair removal on the eyebrow? So for that particular area, I have a smaller spot size probe, which is different. So four filters are there along with the machine, and it is having a variation in pulse duration as well as pulse width. That's why where we can play with the adjustments and we can deliver the results. But Forma is nowadays is not available in India because there is some problem with the franchising. But it's a very good technology from Israel. If anybody is having willing to go for the IPL, I think that is a very good machine to start with.
Yes. Closing statement from Nitin.
Okay, I use the very high end, the Harmony by Alma around 40-45 lakhs, and I use the 1.5 lakh machine by Derma India. So Harmony I use for 8-9 years, and the Derma India entire machine I have to throw in less than 1.5 years. So average life of that Chinese machine is 1 to 1.5 year. With at least 1 year it runs well. Parameter wise, I am very comfortable to use the Harmony because all the parameters are very much controlled, and I can take a risk of using that on the eyelids, on the face, and everything. So for the beginners, if you want to use the IPL say for the vascular and pigmentary indication, then it has to be a better machine, maybe at least a Korean with 6 lakh, 10 lakh price, not 1 or 2 lakh one. So a stable machine, because that assures you a stable parameter. Because in IPL, in the Chinese machine, it is never VC means they have a very good software. Software shows you 20 joule, but actually what's coming out may not be 20 joules. So there you are handicapped. You are using a correct parameter, correct logic by physics, but it's not working. So to have that VC what you see is what you get. If it has to happen, that's called as VC you should have a better machine. So if at all you want to use the machine between 6 to 10 lakh, get a good Korean company and try yourself. First 6 months, don't give to your technician. Every patient. And rule of thumb is any patient take on IPL. Melasma, pigment, PIH, red, blue, green, nail, hair fall, hair growth, anything, you try that and you develop that. Don't charge.
Yeah, your cost is not so much.
बाद में आते रहेगा.
But your consumable is only 30,000 after 50,000 shots.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that consumable is not much.
Your cost is at learning time. So if you give that to your assistant, then you miss that learning.
Will not learn.
Yes.
So your cost is learning. You don't charge the patient or charge less, but spend that time with the patient.
Fully agree with Nitin.
See the in the follow-up, ask them to send the photographs on your WhatsApp and something like. Then you develop the logic, what dose works, what dose burns. Then okay, then you can train your assistant. But first 6 months, buy a good machine. Every patient you take inside and you fire yourself.
I think these are very nice practical tips given by all the panelists. A lot of discussion can be done, but the time constraint is there. So I thank all the panelists for sharing their inputs, giving a lot of tips. And I think after this webinar, I think we should start using IPL more and more in different indications, which has been discussed. Thank you, everyone. Over to Rashmi Madam.
I will drop. I have to start to Sholapur.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Nitin.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before I begin with my vote of thanks, there are a few announcements that I have to make. Now that we're done with the process of registration of our chapter, we will begin with our new memberships from the 15th of January. So please keep checking our website, that is the IADVLpune.org for the same. All the membership details and the process will be updated here. Another thing, we have a special session on tofacitinib, a molecular review on the 13th of Jan, which will clear all your doubts and questions about this new drug on the blog. So please mark the date 13th of Jan. Our next meeting will be on the 24th of January 2021, which will be a postgraduate driven activity. The details will be shared soon. Now that I'm done with the announcements, I would like to propose a vote of thanks for all our speakers and our panelists, Dr. Nitin Dhepe sir, Dr. Ajay Deshpande sir, Dr. Satish Udare sir, and Dr. Varsha Sidwadkar, for making this topic quite simple, very informative and interesting. I would also like to thank our academic partners, the Intas Pharma, for helping us to make this meeting a success. And as usual, our audience, you make these meetings successful by joining in great numbers on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much. I would like to end with wishing everyone a very happy and a healthy 2021. We can now end the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
खूप छान झालं. Very
Thank you.
practical.
Thank you, madam.
खरंच
Good.
मस्त.
Enjoy.
It's your credit that you took such a bold decision to have a CM
It
on
was
IPL.
actually Pradyumna who insisted, and then we decided to have it.
So now Pradyumna will use it more.
Very nice.
We have another session. I think one session was quite less. We should have one more
Yeah,
session.
yeah.
So next session, I think Pradyumna will be the speaker, and he will tell us more indications than what he saw today.
निघालो.
निघाला.
Hello.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you so
See
much.
you all. Bye.
Udare sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashish.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
Yes,
much,
yes,
ma'am,
yes,
for
yes.
giving us the opportunity. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
चांगली झाली मीटिंग. Thank you.
Thank
हो
you,
मॅम
Ashish.
स्मूथली झाली यावेळेला.
हो, छान.
Ashish,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.